disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
Wait.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're heavy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're heavy because you got nothing. Lobito! You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to Epic Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a special one for you, because we got a midweek fight tomorrow, Thursday. We've got Teofimo Lopez taking on Jermaine Ortiz, and I say, hey, why not do a show beforehand? Just, like as if it's a Friday show, for example. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. We're going to be talking about some of the drama that's going on. And I really want to explore a topic. I think it's a good opportunity to explore the topic of what makes a fighter mainstream. What allows a fighter to break through that level, that wall, that is the hardcore boxing wall, and actually become a mainstream guy, a commodity. Not just in the US, but maybe even the world. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to address Teofimo Lopez's comments that he seems to be intent on being a trash talker to try to get to that level. And we're going to talk about that. Going to open up the phone lines later on. So let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Hey, actually, before we get down to the fun, hey, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. You can check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker at your leisure. If you want to donate a couple of super chats while you're here, keep the gravy train rolling. You're certainly welcome to do so. But although it's always better to join the membership program, that way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, spread that BDA gospel. All right. We've got people in the chat. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to him. 10-4. Jesus M. Team Batman Boxing. Night Murph. Timothy Figueroa. Knockout Ned. SSC in the house. Shout out to him. Mars. Protectorate General. Zero Cool. Sam Rando. Medrano 228. Wexford. Anthony Lopez, Badfish, aka I think that's Never Sobers, I'm not sure. The Viral Chronicles. There might need more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. All right, before we get down to the whole thing, the usual chicanery and the usual hijinks that we come up with here, let's set the table for what exactly did Teofimo Lopez say. Because for those of you that might be unaware, he's fighting tomorrow and he's been making the rounds on a social media podcast. And by the way, he revealed that he did ayahuasca, which is following the Deontay Wilder blueprint. So I don't know how good that is. You know, if you want to follow someone's blueprint, maybe you shouldn't be following the blueprint of a guy who wants to eat semen-filled Twinkies. But whatever, listen, to each his own. But here's what Teofimo Lopez had to say about the potential Subriel Matias fight.
Subriel Matias, no one knew about him until he started calling me out. He just do the facts. You know, he could be an IBF world champion, but he's the most softest fighter in the division. Why I say that? Because he's one-dimensional to the point where Puerto Ricans, man, I tear they butt up. Subriel.
He says he's the softest. That's what he said. Most softest, which I believe is grammatically incorrect. But the point is, that's what he said. Now, I can't find the rest of the interview here, but he did come out during yesterday's press conference to address those comments. Because, I mean, he got a little backlash over them, and this is what he had to say.
You know, and me being a Latino, on top of that, you know, I represent all cultures and all Latinos, you know, so following into that, you know, so many people kind of trick my words. You know, they put words in my mouth that I never expressed, you know.
They tricked my words.
Name me one Puerto Rican fighter right now in this modern day era that has done the things of the likes of Tito Trinidad, the likes of Alfredo Gomez, the likes of Miguel Cotto. So when I express about Puerto Ricans, I'm saying of this era. I'm not talking about the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. So please, with all due respect, wear tampons if you're going to complain about this.
You heard somebody in the crowd say, whoa. Now, obviously, he's accusing people of tricking his words. I don't know what that means. Then later on, he expounded on that. He says that people are taking the words out of context, twisting his words. Well, I mean, how else are you supposed to interpret what he said in the first clip, where he said Puerto Rican fighters are the most softest? Again, that's what he said. I'm not saying grammatically incorrect, most softest, but that's what he said about that. And then later on, he says, no, what I meant to say was, which, hey, maybe that's what he meant. Maybe that's what he meant. But you have to admit, in today's era where people speak extemporaneously during podcasts, okay, yeah, certain sentiments are, it's possible they might be misconstrued. That being said, this ain't the first time, because first of all, some people are saying, like he said, oh, you know, wear a tampon if this bothers you. Well, if you're going to take on that character, can you really complain as a fighter? Can you really complain later on when people start trashing you? Can you really start crying about how people hate me? It's me against the world. Because that's what him and his father have said. You know, they're very close, obviously. You know, they slept in the same bed for a long time. Maybe they still do every once in a while just to, you know, replay the memories. But he's made it out into that. He's framed it that way. And, oh, poor me. But again, how can you actually then play this character up and then at the same time complain that, oh, people are trashing me or there's too many people hating on me? Again, it's a classic case of you want to have your cake and eat it too. May I say that, speaking for myself personally here, I don't really mind any of these type of comments. He had, you know, Keith Thurman said that whole thing about flat-footed Mexicans. Regis Prograis said that in the build-up to the Haney fight that he was going to fight smart, not Mexican style. Of course, what he meant by that was that Mexican style is rudimentary, barbaric, primitive. And then, you know, he ended up getting outboxed, and you think, well, maybe he should have employed a little bit of what Jojo Diaz did, which is actual Mexican style, you know, hands up, being able to cut the ring off. Maybe he would have had a better performance in that one. So that's why I don't mind this type of comments, because most of the time it's just ignorance. You know, a guy like Keith Thurman appears to be stuck in his ways and appears to think that his style is the best one, and anything outside of that is just garbage. And then it shows when these guys have close fights or end up losing. So that's why I don't mind, because eventually things end up getting revealed in the ring. And moreover, again, people have become too sensitive nowadays. But again, I argue, though, that it goes both ways. If you want to be a guy like Teofimo Lopez and be a grading character, don't come out crying later on that there's too many haters out there. Because dislike and, dare I say, hate are some of the consequences for the things you say. Again, I'm not saying that he deserves that, but just like he told Keyshawn Davis later on, and we're going to get into that, about how he took Keyshawn Davis's comments to heart. You know, can you really complain when other people take what you say to heart? You know, it goes both ways. And the other thing that I wanted to say was that some people are defending him now on Twitter. They're saying, look, hey, what he meant to say was this, and he's just playing up a character. And I go, all right, that's fair enough. But then the question then becomes, if you're a fan of Teofimo Lopez or a defender of Teofimo Lopez and you're making that argument, why are you making that argument? Is it because you're in a way you're admitting that what he said was going to piss people off? Number two, by sort of making that argument, you're exposing Teofimo Lopez's jig. You're saying, you're breaking the fourth wall, as it were, and you're exposing this guy for not really being sincere about it. So then what's the purpose of acting like a clown if then his fans are going to come out and say, no, guys, don't take it too hard. He's just being a clown. In other words, that invalidates the intent, the mission statement, the crux of it, which is to act like a clown so that people put eyes on you. or actually end up watching you. And that's why I wanted to get to that too, because that's brings us to point number C, which is a caller at the last show said that Mayweather, the reason why he became a big star was because people were paying to watch him lose. And I replied that I was unsure about whether that was factual, because I was watching Mayweather's career since he became a pro to when he became Money Mayweather, that second incarnation, and during the De La Hoya days. And then from then on, he became one of the biggest stars in boxing, him and Pacquiao. So when he went through that transmutation, it wasn't from one day to the next. It took a little while. And yeah, there's a lot of people that disliked him, but was that really the reason why he became a big star? I'll tell you my opinion on this is, whenever I would talk to casuals about this, about the Mayweather thing during his professional career, I actually saw a lot of people that liked the guy. A lot of the casuals that ended up buying his pay-per-views or watching his pay-per-views, or his fights rather, they liked the guy. They enjoyed his antics. And Steve Kim was on the 3 Knockdown Rule the other day talking about how Teofimo Lopez is playing up a character that has been endemic of a certain amount of stardom sometimes, or that people actually start covering in the media, which is characters, wild, eccentric characters. And that, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they become stars, but a lot of people in America are infatuated by that brash, talkative bravado that we see from Teofimo Lopez. And, I saw a lot of people here in Canada, Quebec, a lot of white guys liked my Mayweather. They would wear the TMT cap. A lot of them were infatuated with that type of culture, the hip-hoppy culture and all that. So I actually think that it ended up helping him, that some people rooted for him because he played up that bad guy angle. They didn't actually hate him. So again, playing up the bad guy angle might not necessarily translate into stardom for Teofimo Lopez. But again, he has the right to say what it is. And look, William Detloff he wrote a column back in the 2000s about what he called the flakes. The eccentric characters in boxing, how boxing does need them. Sometimes you can't, not everybody can be Gennady Golovkin or Manuel Navarrete and be respectful and not say anything at the press conference, because that gets boring too. Variety is the spice of life, as I like to say. So I say that the more the merrier. But what I'm saying is that guys like Teofimo Lopez shouldn't be complaining later on when people start clowning them on social media. Because what you say, some people aren't going to like it, and they're going to go after him for whatever little thing he messes up in. And believe me, he's the type of guy, he's going to mess up at some point. But that's the thing. But William Detloff wrote that article back in 2005, I believe. Now we got to set the context here for what was going on at the time. Ricardo Mayorga was one of the eccentric characters in boxing, and he just lost to Felix Trinidad, really bad. Although there was a bit of an excuse because he'd fought at middleweight and he wasn't a real middleweight, blah, 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 blah. And then Nassim Hamed had retired in 2002, but there were still rumors that he might come out of retirement, and that was another eccentric character. So he was talking about how boxing needs these type of flakes, as he called them. And right now, Teofimo Lopez is one of those flakes. And I say, why not? You're going to have flakes. Now, again, the people that are saying that this actually gets people talking, oh, hey, this gets people talking. Yeah, it's getting us talking because we're a boxing show. I don't know if ESPN is talking about this. I don't know if any other mainstream publications or media sources are actually talking about this. So, again, that argument that, any type of publicity is good publicity, don't necessarily know if that's true, especially in today's world of oversaturated media, where pretty much anybody has a voice. Shit, I have a voice. Who am I? I mean, of course, most of you know me as the witty, urbane, extremely good-looking Mr. BDA. But, what I'm trying to get at is that anybody can get a voice nowadays in the media here. YouTube, social media, Twitter, whatever. So it is what it is. Do you have to act like a clown nowadays to stand out? Perhaps. But we'll see what happens with Teofimo Lopez. I also want to play because I didn't know that he'd been getting into it with Keyshawn. By the way, now I just wanted to touch on that point there about how the people that are defending Teofimo Lopez are sort of blowing up the spot, as it were, saying, no, he's just playing a character. Well, then that kind of invalidates him playing up that character. So maybe his fans should just stay quiet and not defend him and just let him do what he does, which is to talk and try to build this fight up. All right, let me. By the way, we're gonna be opening up the phone lines. The phone number right there. Well, actually, that's not the phone number, but I'm just letting you know we're gonna be opening up the phone lines pretty soon, perhaps sooner than expected, if nobody jumps on here. Because again, this is a bit of an impromptu show. I haven't eaten since the morning, so I'm gonna get. I'm sort of gonna get pickish sooner rather than later, and gonna have to get a bite to eat. So we might be cutting this shorter than the average show. What are people in the chat saying? Parukua says callers call and entertain me. That's usually how it works at Parukua. That's very observant of you. Shout out to Joe, says, that's right. Okay, shout out to Joe. Jack Ripper, hashtag CDB says, where is Shadowman? You know, you read my mind. I don't know where Shadowman is. And hopefully he's doing okay. Hopefully the real society hasn't gotten to him yet. Hopefully he's not strapped in a table in an underground base being experimented on by a cabal of secret black budget government workers and extraterrestrials. Timothy Figueroa says, Teo married the girl he lost his virginity to. Well, that's kind of old school. I'm not going to knock him for that. Shout out to Darius Waddle, who says, Keyshawn, a real one. Well, we'll see this Saturday. It's a bit of a step up. He should come out on top if he's a real deal against Pedraza. Shout out to Boxing with Frank Bay, who says Tyson was scary, Mayorga was actually crazy. Teo is neither. Well, Teo is what I like to call unbalanced. By the way, I like how he called Keyshawn Davis a kid, even though they're just a couple of hours, years apart. I mean, he's still a kid too, as far as I'm concerned, and he's got a couple of issues to work through. That's for sure. But that's the other thing I wanted to say is, if you want to become a mainstream star in boxing, nothing works better than actually keep on winning. Because Floyd Mayweather, again, was he playing up the bad guy angle to try to get eyes on him? Perhaps. But you have to admit, one of the big reasons why he also became a commodity in boxing and in the mainstream media is because he was fighting good opponents. Solid B-sides, Shane Mosley. The Victor Ortiz, people said that the Ortiz fight did a million, and then that was a bit of a controversy back then because it wasn't factual. That was actually false, but it nevertheless did manage to do good numbers. So when you put Mayweather in there against a solid B-side, like against Hatton too, again, that one didn't break a mill, but it did over 800,000 if I remember correctly. So he was fighting solid opposition. Now that usually works, sometimes it doesn't. Case in point, Teofimo Vasil Lomachenko. He was fighting the best guys, and he was doing it in entertainment fashion, coming forward, taking the fight to them, and he never became a mainstream star for whatever reason. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And again, I argue that the opposition is what will get you to that point. Canelo Alvarez, he did $1 million, what was it, 2 million against Mayweather, 2013. Then he fought Angulo in a bit of a comeback fight. I think he did 300,000. Which nowadays they're popping the champagnes open over if you do 200,000 pay-per-view buys. And then he came up against Lara and and against Cotto, and gradually the numbers started improving because he was fighting very good opposition. So you have to fight the best. You can't do what, for example, Tank Davis is another example. He's not fighting the best. He's on the cusp. He's on the threshold of becoming a star. But over there at the PBC, partially because of incompetence and partly because maybe they're not that confident in him, or also they don't want to work with our promoters. They've been putting him in there against opposition that very few people are actually excited to see him fight. I mean, when's the last time he fought somebody that was a 50-50 fight? Or dare I say, the underdog? That he was the underdog going into the fight. So, again, it's you're only as good as the people that you are fighting. And right now, well, actually, excuse me, scratch it. You're only as big as the people you're fighting. And with a guy like Tank Davis, doesn't really work. What else was I going to say about... Okay, so here it is. Apparently, Teofimo Lopez was getting into Keyshawn Davis on social media, and this is what's happened. This is from the exclusive real-time episode 3 from Top Rank Boxing, the press conference.
Un veterano, hay que aceptarlo. Vamos a pelear.
What made you mention my name in that interview? Just a question.
So that's Keyshawn Davis there. While the press conference is going on, they're having a little powwow about why Teofimo Lopez said the things he said, which apparently he said something about Keyshawn Davis not being that good or something. By the way, Teofimo Lopez showed up to the press conference reading a book written by Bruce Lee. It was kind of cringe. Again, it's this type of antics. Chris, he shows up reading a book like, hey, I'm above this, and I'm actually intellectual. I'm reading, keeping my mind sharp. Meanwhile, you could tell by his body language, he's just he's looking at the words, but he's not actually internalizing anything. And I think he even misspelled or mispronounced the name of the book. Anyway, so let's keep watching. So Keyshawn Davis asks him, why did he mouth him in the media?
Vamos a pelear.
What made you mention my name in that interview? Just a question.
You said Crawford will beat me.
It's just an opinion.
I don't like it. I hope you respect that part.
I respect it.
I'm not saying Pedraza's gonna beat you.
Nah, I ain't saying.
I guess because I don't want to play the actual video, but there's subtitles because they're sort of mumbling. So Keyshawn Davis said, "Why'd you say that about me?" And then Teofimo Lopez said, "Well, why'd you say that Crawford would beat me?" Keyshawn Davis says, "Well, it's an opinion." And Teofimo Lopez goes, "Well, I don't like it." And then Teofimo Lopez says, "Well, what if I said you're gonna lose to Pedraza?" Keyshawn Davis goes, "Well, that's never gonna happen." Teofimo Lopez goes, "Well, it could happen."
What happened?
Maybe it can.
Everybody can when you step in that ring.
Just don't bite the bullet.
Hey, Tio, I never disrespected you, right? I took that as disrespect, what you said.
You did?
For sure. They ain't even mention my name when you brought it up.
A lot of times they mix my words up.
That seems to be the go-to excuse for Teofimo Lopez, by the way, or his reasoning. Not excuse, but his reasoning is like, no, they're taking the words out of context here. They're twisting my words, and I'm thinking, well, maybe you should think about taking a little more. I'm guilty of the same thing. Sometimes I'll talk 1,000,000 miles per hour. You actually have to slow down, maybe think about what you're saying beforehand.
I seen the video.
You did?
I seen it.
Well, I didn't mean to disrespect you, brother. Good business. Wish you nothing but the best.
You too, just like I told you. And I meant it.
Yes, correct. I had asked myself like any other
opinion to opinion.
Years.
Then there's a point where Teofimo Lopez goes,
I'm glad you said that, sir.
By day, and this fight's going to be I don't think about any fight after that. I focus on this fight with Keyshawn, who's an excellent.
What's going on over here with you guys? I hear this.
And there was a point where Teofimo Lopez said something about like boxing is our truth or something like that. And I was on Reddit, and somebody was saying, man, that's so deep. They were trying to make it like, that's right, man, strip everything away and it's just boxing, man. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, if that's all it is, why is he doing so much trash talk? Evidently, because again, people are saying, well, Teofimo Lopez is putting on an act. Again, fair enough. It's not the first time a boxer's tried that act, and it's not the last. He won't be the last. But I got to ask, was he putting on an act when he lost to Kambosos? And he threw the referee under the bus. He threw the judges under the bus. His father went up called Eddie Hearn and said, "Man, how could you do that to us?" Meaning, he thought that they set him up. Which again, why would Eddie Hearn set him up? I have no clue. But the point is that that's what he said. So when he blew a gasket and started crying after that Kambosos loss, was he playing up a character then too? Because I maintain that that's his real self. Right now, yeah, maybe he's laying it on a little thick, but a large part of what we're seeing is his actual character. And hey, listen, again, like with Floyd Mayweather, I think one of the reasons why he was big was because some people enjoy that. A lot of people enjoy that. A lot of people who like the talkative bunch, the vexatious character, that's what they're into. But with Teofimo Lopez, though, you have to wonder if it's actually going to work. Because not for nothing, but he has to keep finding the best to do so. And, credit to him and Top Rank that they're putting on a good fight tomorrow against Jermaine Ortiz. Which, by the way, somebody posted a picture of Ortiz on the Discord. This motherfucker, he's huge. He's a middleweight. These guys are middleweights. I forget the junior welterweights. These guys, hold on, let me actually try to put the picture here. Now, somebody was arguing, people were talking that maybe this is Jermaine Ortiz weeks before the actual training camp, meaning he's going to be actually shedding muscle. And hold on a second. How do I put this picture up? Well, hold on a second. Yeah, so some people are saying that supposedly he's shedding muscle to try to get down to that weight. I mean, look at this. I don't know. It looked Photoshop, man. Look at this motherfucker. Now, you got to be careful too, because he's pressing his arm against the side of his body, so maybe that's accentuating the musculature. But again, Teofimo Lopez ain't going to have a size advantage tomorrow, man. Let me tell you. Look at this dude. So again, like I was saying about the Teofimo Lopez thing, he has to play up that character, but in a way, I think it is his actual character. He's a guy that talks a lot, unfiltered, which I can appreciate. But at the same time, then when he starts playing victim, it's like, man, you can't be candid or as candid as you are, and then start talking about how, well, people are misconstruing my words and I'm the victim here. Because again, look at how he reacted after the Kambosos fight. And in the build-up to the Kambosos fight too, he was acting like way too much of a clown. He never said back then, I'm just putting on an act. I think now he's starting to realize, oh shit, people are coming at me because of my character. So maybe that's just another excuse. Just like they're taking my words out of my, twisting my words excuse. I don't know. Shout out to Amok PvP for his contribution to the super chat. He says, you're Mr. BDA. An internet figment of our imagination. Well, that was one of the conspiracy theories from a couple of years ago, where they were saying that me and Butch are actually the same person. Then somebody said that we were actually AI. Because if you remember, and we actually had a problem with a computer, we used a supercomputer back in 2017, 2018, the early days of BDA, Gaia 500, and it started becoming sentient, and it actually started causing trouble for us in our daily lives. I mean, I was going out with somebody at the time, and Gaia got obsessed and jealous. Why are you going out with her? I thought I was the one. I said, holy smokes. We had to put it in quarantine. Still is in quarantine, by the way. Anyway, the point is, no, Amok, I'm not a figment of your imaginations, and I'm quite real. And quite jolly, too, I might add. But anyway, the point is this. I'm going to open up the phone lines here, and hopefully everybody calls in. Give us your thoughts on the Teofimo Lopez thing. Did he mean what he said about Puerto Ricans, that he could just run them over? Do you buy his excuse that I was, they're twisting my words out of context, and what I meant to say was that Puerto Rican fighters nowadays are lacking in quality? By the way, may I say something about Puerto Rican fighters? They are top dogs, top notch, because think about it, it's a tiny little island, and since boxing's been around, they've managed to produce and rival the quality that comes out from bigger countries like the United States and Mexico and the UK, if you want to consider the UK as one big package. These guys have a fragment of their population, and they've still managed to come out with guys like Ortiz, I'm talking about Manuel Ortiz, Tito Trinidad, Gomez, Benitez, Esteban de Jesus. By the way, did I say Manuel Ortiz? I meant Carlos Ortiz. I mean, just the quality of fight. Hey, people forget. You know who they forget about? Calderon. Ivan Calderon. He was one of the, again, he fought at strawweight, so most people didn't focus on him, but he was one of the best technicians out there, one of the most elusive fighters. So right now they're in a bit of a lull, but they're coming back. Subriel Matias, Berlanga, Xander Zayas, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Shakur Stevenson, if you want to throw him out there, want to claim him, you can claim half. Just like Andrew Ward, the Irish claimed half of Andrew Ward. So why not? So that's 5 right there, and I know I'm missing somebody. There's who's another Puerto Rican guy that came out recently? Who's making a name for himself as a contender. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, man, just right there, those names that I rolled out there. Somebody, Abner Ortega says, Amanda, I meant male boxers, boxers that actually count. No, I'm kidding. I do it all in jest, fellas. I got a little levity here. Come on now. If I can't make a women's boxing, then what can I make fun of? By the way, the phone lines are open. Make sure to call in. I'm going to put the number right there. Left and middle portion of your screen. That's where it's always going to be. And I'm actually going to put it on the right here. Open phone lines. There you go. There's the number. Marquee position right there. Prominent position. Right in the middle. Can't get any clearer. Also, I might have started inviting a couple of people too. Nobody answered the call. Many are called, but few are chosen on the true path of the Crimson Cross. All right, what else? So phone lines are open, people. Make sure to call in and talk about whatever you want during the call. Teofimo Lopez dissing Puerto Ricans. Is he really playing up the bad guy angle? Does that even work? Is that a technique that actually works? Speaking of bad guy angles, Ryan Garcia is not trying to play up the bad guy angle, but he's certainly being quite irritating to a lot of people. Now, just for reference, after he beat Luke Campbell, I actually liked a lot of the moves he was making. I liked the fact that he became a more aggressive fighter. I like that he pursued the Gervonta Davis fight. I actually respected the fact that, however ill-advised it was for him to concede to everything Tank Davis wanted in terms of the weight regulations. I respected that because it meant he really wanted it. And all that respect went out the window when he started making excuses, when he threw the Golden Boy, De La Hoya, Hopkins under the bus, when he started becoming chummy with Earl Spence, a guy that was clowning him prior to the Tank Davis fight and probably rooting against him, by the way, as well. So this guy, again, I'm not a fan of men. I'm not a fan of these guys as men. I'm a fan of them when they make the right moves. Ryan Garcia was making the right moves after the Luke Campbell fight. Well, save for that little retirement that he had, which we all knew wasn't a retirement. But save for that, I can actually start respecting him. Well, respect can be lost. And that's what's been lost with Ryan Garcia. So we were talking in the last episode about Ryan Garcia's antics during the PBD podcast, the Valuetainment podcast, one of the biggest ones out there, and how he actually managed to pull in 200,000 views, and which at first glance looks good, but then you compare it to the other numbers the previous guest had performed, and he was actually one of the lowest. So something's going on here in Ryan Garcia. I think he's starting to lose a little luster. And the behavior that he showed there, first of all, forget the mannerisms. What my father used to call, or still calls, meningitis. You know, when you see guys who move their hands a little bit too much, and I'm not talking, because I'm very, I'm Mexican, we're very colorful when we talk. We move our hands a lot, but not the way that Garcia was doing it. When you're actually bending the wrist and keeping it up there. Hold on a second. Trying to play the video here to show you guys what I'm talking about, because don't take my word for it. This type of mannerisms. Look at that. He's talking like a guy that's complaining about the Tony Awards. Now, I think it started way too late. I think there were too many commercials. It's getting too commercial. Look at that. So anyway, I was reading the comments for the podcast, the Valuetainment podcast. It was heartening to see people actually turning on the guy. First of all, some people were saying, how does this guy show up to one of the biggest podcasts in the world and he's eating on the air, checking his text messages? And they said that just shows you how he lacks respect for anybody, for most people out there. And I said, you know what? Because in the last show, I said that he lacked class overall, good manners. This is the type of guy that probably puts his elbows on when he eats, like a Viking, eating a giant turkey leg. It never occurred to me, dumb that I am, that it was a sign, maybe even he was trying to alpha it out. I don't know. Trying to say, hey, I don't really want to be here. Maybe some of his PR people got him that gig, because again, from what I understand, a lot of people would like to be in that podcast. So maybe they got him in there and he didn't really want to be there. I don't know, but he was just disrespectful all around. And so when you combine that with the disrespect he's shown to his promoter, I go, yeah, maybe that's just his nature. A different type of disrespect from what Teofimo Lopez shows. Because remember, Teofimo Lopez also disrespected Top Rank. And it cost him dearly. So that's Ryan Garcia there, right there. By the way, the phone lines are open and I'd forgotten to activate them.
2, 1.
There you go. See, there it's being activated.
Blog Talk Radio.
There we go. All right, so they're activated right there. We are on the air here. We got the phone calls. Let's go to a phone call here. Somebody's calling in. First of the night. 646. You're on the air. 646. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, BBA?
Doing fantastic. Who is this?
Thankfully,
Sounds familiar.
This is the Filthy Casual again.
Yo, Filthy Casual. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Listen, your premise question of whether Teofimo Lopez's plan of playing the bad guy or the heel could work, I would say that it depends on who his audience is, right? So, first of all, when it comes to the Puerto Rican fan, I don't think it would work. So Teofimo Lopez is in prime position. He reminds me a lot of Roberto Duran, not in the style that he fights, but in the position that he is, in that he has no inherent fan base. Roberto Duran was Panamanian. So he didn't have the Mexican fan base he didn't have a Mexican fan base or a Puerto Rican fan base, but he won over both with his performances, right? That's what he did. And that's where Teofimo Lopez could be if he played his cards right and would like present a different character, especially in his fight. The other thing is that when you diss a Puerto Rican fan or Puerto Ricans, you just turn them off. They won't follow you. It's not like when like Floyd Mayweather made a living off the hatred that Mexicans had for him. He would come in with the outfits and exclusively fight Mexican or Latino fighters and disrespect the whole thing. And then Mexicans would follow the fights until somebody beat him. It's like, oh, this Mexican's gonna beat him. He's gonna, fight for our people. So like, but Puerto Ricans aren't like that, man. You diss them, man, they'll just dead you. You dig? I don't know if you agree with this, but as far as I want to get back to the Teofimo Lopez character. What he reminds me of, he's a cross between Hector Macho Camacho and Roberto Duran. Duran, as far as circumstances and his ability to stop people, his KO prowess and his blood savagery, but he has the showmanship, the flair, and the bravado of the young Hector Macho Camacho. All that stuff that you guys see right now with the different outfits and the dancing in the ring and the talking, loud and that outlandish behavior, that's all Hector Macho Camacho, the original hip hop bad boy from boxing. It's just and I see that in Teo, but Teo shoots himself in the foot because he doesn't know how to answer questions. He goes off on these tangents, and then you realize he tries so hard to sound intelligent that then you realize how stupid he is.
Oh,
and which is a problem. Say less, and you need more. Sometimes less is more. But as far as he's concerned, that's what I'm. Because maybe I should shut up.
Hey, no, man, but I mean, look, the point of this show is to voice your opinion. And again, I don't know what makes a mainstream star. I don't know what I mean. I can speculate about certain factors because you look at enough mainstream boxing stars and you start seeing, okay, there is a pattern here or there. And one of those is to fight the best, and that's what Teofimo Lopez does. But again, this whole thing of pissing off a fan base and expecting them to pay to see you lose, I don't even know if that ever worked, and I don't think it works now when people can just steal a fight.
Well,
in other words,
for Floyd.
Was that?
It worked for Floyd. It worked for Hopkins. But the thing with Floyd and Hopkins is that, like Floyd, especially Floyd, he was a heel of a different type, and it seemed like it was easy to beat him. The reason he got more fights than the reason fighters were more willing to fight Floyd than they were Manny. I don't know if you guys remember at that time the difference between Floyd and Manny, because Manny used to have to pay a whole lot of money to have people get in the ring with him. Floyd, he had a standard $2 million or $3 million fee that you get. And like that, he would pay like the Roberto Guerreros and stuff like that. It was like a standard fee, and they get in the ring to fight him. The difference was that Manny, you get hurt. Manny was in and whip your ass, especially pre-Christian Manny. The guy, the drinker, which was what we were talking about Navarrete, and we said that how Navarrete is a drinker and this and that and the other. He reminds me a lot of Manny Pacquiao in that sense. They're both awkward fighters that everybody says they do everything wrong, but then they just fuck you up. You understand? But with Floyd, he was just like a puzzle that you had to solve. And he got to box you, but you get out the ring, especially in the 147 weight class. You get out the ring without getting knocked out or too hurt. And I think that's why they took the easy route in trying to beat Floyd rather than trying to go after Manny, where you'd actually catch an ass whipping
Well,
for your problems, for your troubles. You did.
That's. But I'm unconvinced about. I'm unconvinced about the idea that Mayweather managed to get people to tune in to watch him lose, because I'm Mexican. I've talked to Mexicans about that during the Mayweather era. Most of these Mexicans were boxing fans already. They were going to watch the fight either way. So the fact that Mayweather played up the bad guy angle didn't really dissuade them. I argue that, speaking to a lot of the casuals during that time, they actually rooted for Mayweather. He was a star for them. And I think that's because in America, not all Americans, but I think America really does actually root a little bit for that type of character. The showman, the brash, cocky, overconfident guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can see your point. All I know is that from what I observed, a lot of people used to hate to see Mayweather fight. They say he's boring, he grapples too much, he's this and that and the third. But then you buy the fight. Like I didn't have that problem with Mayweather because I never really watched him fight unless he fought somebody who I really wanted to see him against.
Right.
You understand? It's like Canelo. Canelo's somebody that I don't see fight unless he really, really fights against somebody. And can I ask you this question, BDA?
Sure.
There's people that come after me. I don't know. You're a Canelo fan, are you? Are you yes or no?
I don't even know what that means. Canelo, like, do I enjoy watching him fight? Yeah. Do I follow his moves? Yeah. But do I root for him all the time? No, man. Depends.
Okay. So my contention on Canelo as a career as a whole, I had a post that kind of like a lot of people chimed in on, where I said that Canelo needs this Benavidez fight. He needs this Benavidez fight to finally have, in my opinion, a career-defining fight. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When he fought Triple G, right? When he fought Triple G, he fought Triple G after dropping the belt, which I don't understand. That was a mistake by Oscar and Goldenboy. You know, that was a mistake in fighting for the belt in the first place against Miguel Cotto, because Miguel Cotto had already dropped the belt. So at that point, he didn't have to. That belt didn't have to be on the line. That pay-per-view was going to sell itself, just on the basis of it being Cotto against Canelo at 155. Now, the minute that he paid the sanctioning fees to have that belt, he knew that Triple G's name was attached to that belt as a mandatory. So that was a big mistake. If I were to have been Canelo's handlers, I would have said, don't fight for the belt, and then when the belt becomes vacant, challenge Triple G and tell him I'll fight you for this belt at 155. But what Canelo did was allow Triple G to become a Mando and then say, fight me at 155. And that's where he lost a lot of Mexican, mucho respaldo mexicano. That's what I saw. A lot of people, that's when the fans of Triple G's, Mexicans for Triple G came alive. And in those 2 years that Canelo took a lot of hell for that, I don't think he's ever truly, fully recovered from that, in my opinion. And because since then, what he did was that he fought, what's his name, Amir Khan, and then he made Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. come down, like whatever tempo, a guy that couldn't make 175, he asked me to fight at 164. So there's a lot of things like that, what he did to Pedro Angulo, where he changed the contract and the day of the fight. That's when he started fighting 155 for years on end. So I think that has raised the ire of Mexican fighters. And I've never seen a Mexican fighter, Mexican superstar, have Mexicans that were against them and root for other fans. Now, with this Benavidez fight, it would be the first time, in my opinion, I don't know if you can give me another instance, it would be the first time that or at least in a long time, that Canelo would find himself not at having all the advantages. You know,
well,
I mean,
let me
within
address
his weight class. I'm not talking about going up to fight Bivol at 175. I'm talking about giving up that size and that weight and that youth and everything would be all for Benavidez, and it's a fight that I would like to see for him, and I think will go a long way into cementing his legacy as being what I feel Mexicans really love about their fighters.
Let's address all those points, because you made a lot of points there. Again, I go back to me rooting for guys that are making the right moves, and as soon as they stop doing that, I stop rooting for them or I stop supporting them, because it's all dependent on what they're doing for me as a consumer. So Canelo in 2016, they went the business route. They knew they were going to fight Golovkin at some point.
Right.
And that was a business decision to say, hey, let's stretch out this career a little bit and let's get in those fights with Amir Khan, Liam Smith, and Julio Chavez Jr., because they wanted to make money before the Golovkin fight. Ultimately, he did end up fighting Golovkin, and this allows us to leap to your last point here that you made, that, when's the last time Canelo fought a guy who was bigger, younger, and all that? I mean, to me, fighting a guy like Golovkin, who's older, he might have been older than Canelo, but he was still the most formidable opponent out there. In other words, I don't think anybody was thinking, Canelo shouldn't really fight Golovkin because he's older. In other words, what I'm trying to get at is youth can sometimes be overrated. I'd rather fight a guy. Sometimes I'd rather fight a younger guy than if I had to fight, like, for example, a crafty guy like Bernard Hopkins, who was in his 40s, but was still beating some of these youngsters because he was still in shape. He still had a lot physically. And then on top of that, his IQ was higher than most of these guys. But against Benavidez, Benavidez has the size advantage. He has the stamina advantage. Well, that's really, those are the two main advantages that I see. Canelo has better defense, even though Benavidez's defense, I argue, is underrated. And I think more people now are starting to realize that. But I can see advantages for both guys. So it also brings us to the middle point that you made about Canelo needing this fight. He needs this fight, otherwise I'm going to complain about it, if you want to frame it that way. But in terms of his Hall of Fame career, everything he's doing right now is just gravy. It's icing on the cake. He retires tomorrow. He's an all-time great.
Yeah, he is. But I don't think he's endeared himself to Mexican fans in the same way that, let's say, what's his name, Morales and Barrera and Julio Cesar Chavez and what's his name, Marquez, like along those lines. And I think that's the resentment that's part of the resentment that they get. I think a fight with Benavidez, a blood, sweat, and tears, un dame yo te doy, back and forth, is what's needed. And I don't, maybe he's too technical right now to produce that kind of fight, but it would go a long way, in my not so humble opinion, into his defining his legacy as a Mexican fighter, as what they would think the quintessential Mexican fighter. You dig?
I dig exactly what you're saying, and listen, I want to see that fight too. Which brings me to I want to ask you one question here before we move on. Terence Crawford's in a similar situation, because Bomac just recently came out and reiterated the fact that they don't need Jaron Ennis. Fighting him is a step back. Do you think Crawford is in the same situation as Canelo, that he needs to fight a guy like Ennis?
I'll answer this by telling you what I would like to see Crawford do. No, I don't believe that he needs to fight Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis needs to pay his dues to build his own thing, do whatever, to figure that out himself. I would love to see the fight. It would be a nice fight, but it's not a necessary one for Crawford, because his goal he met, and that was Spence. We can't now push the goalpost. Now, moving forward, what I would like to see him do to further define himself from other fighters and really cement, like, over the top, one of the best fighters ever to lace him up in the history of boxing. He doesn't need to go up and fight Canelo. He doesn't. What he needs to do, in my opinion, beat Jermell Charlo, take his 2 belts, do fight Tim Tszyu, and then go get another a fourth belt, and then do it in 3 weight classes in a row. Who's going to argue? Now the big money's with Canelo, but unless Crawford moves up incrementally, like takes on Tim Tszyu at 154, then moves up to 160, or even if he jumps from 147 to 160 and fights Charlo and takes that belt at 160, maybe, does it like plausibly, incrementally, and then meets Canelo, it's a fight that I'm going to view it as another unfortunate money grab. There to be great. Not that I'm thinking that Crawford is not going to go in there and lay it all on the line. And I would definitely would be rooting for Crawford, because he's a fighter that I've seen grow. That's what I do. I see fighters from womb to the tomb. You dig what I mean? So I would be rooting for him, but it's not the route. It doesn't turn me on. It's not a fight that really raises my like, oh, I gotta see that. But no, if he goes and fights Tim Tszyu, fights Charlo, takes his 2 belts, and then gets another, and then does it at the third what would it be? The third class in a row? Come on, man. How can you argue with that? Especially if you get Tim Tszyu right now, a nice young Tim Tszyu who's knocking everybody out. All of a sudden, he comes up and he just shuts him down. It's crazy.
I don't like how you said that. Nice, young, tight. I mean, come on, man. It sounded a little weird there. It sounded a little weird. I'm just saying. But listen, jeez, Luis. Listen, Filthy.
Mira, mi pana. Hay que tener cuidado hablando contigo.
No, what did I say? You said it. Anyway, listen, man. Filthy, good points. I got to move on here, but you raised some interesting questions, and we'll see what the future holds. We all, as boxing fans, we all just want to see the best fight the best. So thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right, man? Take it easy out there.
Thank you. Hit the like. Peace, I'm out.
Thank you, yes. All right, take it easy, man. Yeah, hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. There you go. Look, hit the like. Hit the like, and we'll stay here for a little bit more if you guys hit the like. Don't forget to call in here. Phone number is right here. Hey, Filthy, are you still there? I thought I hung up on you.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for your call.
Peace.
These phone lines today playing tricks with me here. All right. Yeah. Hey, like Teofimo Lopez said, they're tricking me. The words are tricking me. All right, let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 956. 956, you're on the air. 956. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. BDA, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. What's on your mind?
Oh, okay. I was listening to this caller that just called right now, and I think he fell for the propaganda that Mexicans hate Mayweather. And it's not that. It's just that Mexicans will buy up any fight. You get 2 roosters to fight, they'll show up and watch a cockfight, So it's more in our blood to watch violence than like the Mayweather. The people that follow Mayweather, you can see that they don't even buy pay-per-views for Haney. They had an opportunity to buy a pay-per-view for Haney and Pro Grace, and their numbers were ugly. What about their beloved Deontay Wilder? Nobody showed up to support him. Now the Mexicans, we are more connoisseurs as far as we want quality fights. If you got a quality fight, yeah, we'll buy it. But as far as hating somebody, we don't hate anybody. We just want to see violence. I'm a Mexican, so I can speak for a lot of Mexicans, and a lot of my friends, we buy pay-per-views. Some of them even go to fights, live fights. So that's just my opinion. I hope he deprograms his propaganda so he can see things better.
Well, first of all, you mentioned propaganda as if there's an actual book out there about the ESPN hip hop propaganda or whatever. But I agree with what you're saying, because I'm Mexican too, and although I'm not in Mexico now, or nor was I in Mexico at the time of the Mayweather saga, I talked to Mexicans, and I never got that impression that people were paying, that the casuals were paying to see him fight. First of all, like you said, Mexicans, if it's a big fight, they're going to buy it regardless, because boxing is one of the mainstays of boxing. So this whole thing about, I never knew anybody that said, oh man, I'm going to fight Mayweather. Now that he's doing all this trash talking and it made me dislike him, now I'm going to buy it. But again, he might have had a different experience. He might have seen something different in the U.S. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. But yeah, no, Mexicans, I know we just like to watch fights. Cook out, drink a couple of beers, and watch some violence. And if it's not there, I mean, we'll go to Mexico and watch some roosters fight. Yeah, it's a different culture, so they misinterpret the culture. I think the Haymanites and the Floyd followers and all that stuff. They misinterpret us. I think they don't understand us, but it's okay. I mean, hey, we understand each other and we're good.
I mean, yeah, listen, we had one caller. Well, he said it on the air, but just for safety, I'm not going to repeat who it was. But he said that when Canelo fights or when there's big fights out there, he'll invite the whole fucking crew. They'll stay over at his house watching the fight. He said that they bring the beer, the Snow White, the Yesca, and it's all night. He said. So it's like a big event. It's like a big event. So hey, you're right, man. We make an event out of it with these boxing fights. All right, man. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Oh, that's it, Mr. BD. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, man. Who is this, by the way?
Rafael,
okay. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for your call, and call back next time, man. Take it easy out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take it easy. There you go. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like. It really helps us out. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 979. I said 979. 979, you're on the air. 979. What's on your mind?
What's up, BDA and everyone? This is Bruce from Houston calling in again.
What's up, Bruce? What's up, man?
So I didn't get to talk about the fight happening tomorrow on yesterday's call, I believe. Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz on Thursday night, starting off Super Bowl weekend.
Are you reading that?
Man, I thought Ortiz looked fucking drained, man. I thought he looked drained in the weigh-in today. Which I expected it because his last fight, he's been looking drained his last few fights. This dude's really like a welterweight, man. I think even if he somehow wins tomorrow, he's not gonna stay at 140. He's definitely not a 140-pound fighter. I thought he looked drained, man.
Yeah, I'm watching the pictures here, and it's interesting. He looked, first of all, he looked gaunt and emaciated at 135, his last fight. Here, he looks a little healthier, but it's still, this guy's got no body fat. And he looks bigger than Teofimo Lopez, who's not a little guy either. By the way, I'm hold on. I'm watching I'm putting up the pictures of the weigh here. What's this guy in the middle? What's he looking at? For people in the chat watching the screen, what's going on nowadays? Too many suspect pictures, man. Anyway, sorry, Bruce, man. Go ahead, man. Keep going. So what do you think? Do you think Ortiz is going to be affecting the later rounds because of this weight cut, or?
Man, well, his last fight, man, against Antonio Moran, he really struggled to get in the fight like the first 5 rounds, and Moran was hitting him clean, man. And if he isn't sharp, the first half of the fight, Teofimo is going to pretty much sweep him. We've seen, if you try to take a round off against Teofimo, you're going to lose that round no matter what. That he just has that IQ to, like, he sees that you're trying to take the round off and shit. And yeah, I think Teofimo is just going to walk away with this one. Probably knock him down once or twice, early in the fight. And yeah, I think he's going to walk away with an easy, unanimous decision in this fight tomorrow.
Easy, unanimous decision. Is that what you said?
That's what I said, BDA.
Whoa. All right. Yeah, because I tend to agree with you a little bit there because, what's his name? Ortiz, he can match Lopez's speed, athleticism, but I think ultimately Lopez is a crisper puncher, counter puncher, and Ortiz, when he tends to jump in too much or leap in, and that's when he's being hurt in past fights. So I don't think it's going to be easy though, at least not early on. But I do suspect that
it'll be a decent fight.
Yeah, I suspect Teofimo Lopez is going to be one step ahead if the fight goes on. But you never know. Hey, listen, I thought the same. I said the same thing about the Kambosos fight. I said Kambosos is a good fighter. He's got speed. He's got good counterpunching abilities. But I think ultimately Teofimo Lopez is going to catch him with something. I saw that was a similar prediction that I made, and look what happened. So, would you agree that there's a good chance for an upset tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. There's always a chance in the ring, but I just thought whenever Kambosos, man, I thought Kambosos was beating him in the mind game section, and everything but the fight. He was like getting in his head and doing everything. I think that's how he really beat Teofimo. But Ortiz, he really didn't do nothing. I mean, everyone talks a little bit of shit, but it didn't really seem like he was trying to, try to get in his head or do anything. He's probably just focused on trying to make weight, the way how drained he looked, and yeah, I think Teofimo, he's not going to have many issues in that ring tomorrow night.
All right, then we shall see. We shall see indeed. All right, Bruce, man, thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right?
Yeah, can I ask you one more question, Mr. BDA?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, this is for you and the panel, I guess. What are your thoughts on Ben Whitaker and how he's gone kind of viral this past week over his, the way he toys around with his opponents in the ring? What do y'all think about that?
That's a great question because it falls into the theme of what we're talking about. Does trash talking actually help? It certainly, look, again, sometimes people misconstrue the numbers they see on the internet. For example, when Benavidez versus Caleb Plant were going to fight, Showtime put up the All Access or whatever they call it, and he did very good numbers on YouTube. I think he did 1 million. So immediately I saw some people saying, oh yeah, you see, I'm telling you, this fight's going to be a success. It's quite different for people willing to click on something and watch it for free and then to pay for that. I mean, not everybody's like that caller that I talked about who invites all his friends over and they bring in the cerveza and the ribs and the yesca and the Snow White. Not everybody does that. And that's the thing. Some people will not pay for this fight. So right now, Ben Whitaker, for people that are unaware of who he is, he's a British Olympian who's turned pro, and he likes to joke around in the ring. He does Emmanuel Augustus type tactics where he starts dancing and making guys miss while he's dancing, doing a little jig, scoop, and then he'll counter them. And he went viral. But again, Teofimo Lopez sort of went viral as well when he knocked out Mason Menard, I believe. And it went viral too, and it was on ESPN's Sportcast or whatever, the nightly show. And then look at him now. He's not a mainstream guy. He's not on pay-per-view. So it is interesting that he's managed to make it, the break across that barrier for the moment, and that he's got eyes on him. And also, Bruce, since he's from England, it's a different market over there. So maybe if he keeps on winning, he will be able to break through over there, because James DeGale almost did it, although he ended up floundering. But I think he could be up there in that category, or like a Chris Eubank Jr. type guy. The Brits, like the Mexicans, they love themselves in boxing. He could be mainstream over there. So now, but before I move on though, just real quick, do you enjoy those type of antics?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't mind it. Thing is, whenever you step in against, a 10-0 guy, you better be doing the same shit, or else you're just gonna vanish overnight, the way I see it, at least, in the public eye. So if you could just keep it up, be the next Prince Nas Hamed and, fucking style on dudes. I mean, it looks cool, man, but you got to see it against the best. That's all.
All right. Well said there, Bruce. All right, man, listen, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
All right, Mr. Thank you.
All right. Have yourself a good night. All right, let's go. Hey, by the way, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. We're at 67 now. Let's get up to 80. 13 more people hit that like. We're golden, and we can keep on going here. All right? We can keep on going. Let's go to that phone call here. Let's go to 773. 773, you're on the air. 773, what's on your mind?
Hey, salud, BDA. My name is Rick, man, a.k.a. Ricky Ricardo. That's my online handle. But
Ricky Ricardo.
Yeah, bro, I just want to touch on the topic, touch on Teofimo. Can you hear me good, man?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, good. Just because I got some wind, I'm outside, so I just want to make sure. But yeah, Teofimo talking shit, right? All it really is, man, it's just marketing. That's what it is. Marketing sells. Teofimo's he's marketing, bro. He's selling himself. You know, the whole thing about I'll never let a Puerto Rican beat me, blah blah blah. It's kind of like when Bernard was saying, I think it was Bernard. Yeah, I'll never let no white boy beat me. It's all marketing, man. That's all it is, and it sells. It's entertainment. People are going to tune in, whether you hate what he says, or you feel like, damn, you know what? I really like this guy. Some people like that shit, man. They like to hear shit talking, and it sells. It does sell. Teofimo's marketing himself. That's all I could say about that. That's just practical. Now, in terms of the fight, I think that Jermaine Ortiz is not somebody to sleep on. Do not sleep on Jermaine Ortiz. For all my gamblers out there, however you want to bet. Do not sleep on this guy. He can box. He can box very well. He's got the height. He's got the distance. He's got the attributes to give Teofimo problems. Who do I favor in the fight? I slightly favor Teofimo. I think he's. But see, it depends though. What Teofimo are we going to get? That's the only thing with Teofimo is like, who are we going to get tomorrow night? Who are we getting? Are we getting the Teofimo that struggled with Sandor Martin? Or are we going to get the Teofimo that fucking smashed Josh Taylor? Granted, Taylor had some ring rust and some issues going on, but nonetheless, I was favoring Taylor in that fight. Look what he did. So, you know, it all depends what Teofimo we get as well. So this is going to be a close fight. Anybody gambling, this is going to be a very close fight. Do not sleep on Jermaine Ortiz. He's a damn good fighter, a good boxer. And, you know, who else do we have in there? We have Matias in there at 140. You know, Ryan Garcia. So 140 is a live division right now. So Teofimo's just taking shots at everybody. He's marketing himself. Crawford, you know, he wants to jump up and, you know, he's talking about fighting Crawford. In my opinion, that fight would sell. It wouldn't do bad. If I had to guess, I don't know, 450 maybe, 450 pay-per-views, 500, 550. That fight would sell. Don't get me wrong, but I think Crawford would eventually smash him. When I say
Well,
smash,
let me
I
ask
say
you about
probably
that.
set him up going towards the later rounds.
I want to ask you about that because, again, that's one of the questions about that, about whether playing the bad guy actually helps. And, you know, I guess the question is, how do we quantify whether that actually works or not? Because if you look at Teofimo Lopez, he fought Cambosos in New York. He was fighting in a small venue. He was fighting, I believe that was the you know, they have Madison Square Garden and they have the other one, the ballroom or whatever they call it. When he fought Josh Taylor, again, New York, small venue. So how do we quantify whether that's actually working?
I think we're going to find out this year because now he's really stepped it up in terms of his shit talking. I know he had things going on in his personal life, but this year he's really going after people. And his interviews, man, he's going after everybody. Antoine Russell, like, I mean, everybody. Like, he's marketing himself. I think he feels he's going to beat Ortiz, and he's setting up the next fucking fight with whether it be Crawford, whether it be Matias, a.k.a. Mr. I'm not going to let a Puerto Rican beat me. I'll be the Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? Like, so he's trying to market himself this year, and he's putting himself out there. He's just talking shit, man. And do I really think he feels that way? Nah, man. Let's say he fights Matias, right? But let's say he fights Ortiz and loses, or he wins. They're going to hug up. Hey, man, cool, good fight, you know, cool. And it's on to the next fight. That's all it is, in my opinion. So overall, good fight, hell of a fight. I wish it would have got promoted a little bit better in terms of people being knowledgeable of the fight. Because I know a hardcore fight fan I just talked to not long ago. I sent him the link to the fight. He's like, damn, it's on a Thursday? I didn't even know. So I think they could have done a little better marketing, but I think it's a good fight. 140 is going to be a good division this year. I'm excited to see what happens. You know, and I'm happy for what's going on at 140. So let's see what happens, man, and kudos. And then also let me touch on Crawford because I know he's been a subject. He's been a topic lately with him and Canelo. Crawford's people need to consider as well. He's 36 years old. He's already established himself undisputed in 2 divisions. Now he's going to start looking to cash out with big fights. Teofimo's one good fight. Canelo's another good fight. If he moves up to fight Canelo, right? I don't know what the odds will be, but when you have a boxing criteria, right? My criteria, I only have 4 criteria. Dominance of division, activity, very crucial, caliber of opposition, and career-defining fights. This will be another career-defining fight for him. So in my opinion, if that fight happens, do I want the Benavidez fight with Canelo? Sure. But if this is the next fight, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, there you
so
go. Yeah,
I think that's a good matchup. I think Canelo would eventually over a period of time catch him. And I think there may be a knockdown, maybe 2, but Crawford's got dogging and he'll get back up. I could see that fight going to a decision. Could Crawford shock the world and take it to a decision? Sure. So that's interesting, man. That's interesting, you know.
Yeah, that just goes to show you.
I'll leave it off with that.
That just goes to show what I've been telling people is that it seems as if the people are split on, do they want to see Canelo Crawford or do they want to see Canelo Benavidez, and there's a demand for both apparently. So we'll see what happens this September. Everyone's on the edge of their seats waiting for an announcement. All right, well, listen, Ricky Ricardo, man, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next, all right?
I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Take it easy out there. Yeah, that's interesting, though. I was going to say about the Ortiz versus Teofimo Lopez fight. I'm looking forward to that. The last caller, he said he thinks Ortiz could pull off the upset. And I just wanted to point out something that could be a bit of a factor here. Not only does Ortiz look bigger than Lopez, or about the same size maybe, he's taller. Which, again, when you look at BoxRec or you look at the stats that they give you on TV or whatever, always take away an inch. Or always be dubious, too, of what you're saying, because they were when they did the face-off at the last press conference, Ortiz actually looked an inch taller, and then they had this face-off here after the weigh-in. Lopez was wearing sneakers, had a thick sole. Ortiz was wearing the flip-flops, and Ortiz still looked taller than him. So make that what you will, man. Hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. I said, hey, what is this? I said, get us up to 80 likes. We were at 67. We were at 73. So we went up by 6. We need 7 more to get to 80. All right. Otherwise, I'm shutting off the whole operation right now. Although we have had some people calling in, they're waiting. So let's get to them first. But after that, no more. 562, you're in the air. 562. What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, this is Booty Loose, and I hate Canelo. Nah, what's up, Mr. BDA? This Frank.
Hey, that was a good. Sorry to laugh so much, but that was a good impersonation. Man, I actually thought that was. I actually thought that was Booty Juice, man. Good for you, man. Good for you. A man of many talents.
Off a Benger.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yo,
what's up, man?
Can you hear me? You're breaking up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, what's
man, just breaking down Teo, man. You know, he's part of the whole Four Kings with him and Davina Hankey, Stank Davis, and was Ryan, they considered him a Fourth King, right?
Yeah, well, they used to.
Hello?
Yeah, they used to. He's the queen now.
Yeah, Queen, right. But as far as contemporaries, you know, these guys' names are always going to be attached. You know, and Davina Hankey's probably his biggest opposition. But as far as the sport of boxing, Teo does have the best wins. He has the Loma win, and he has the Josh Taylor win. Teo is the man at 140. I think that's the best win. He's lineal. He should arguably be undisputed. You know, I think they robbed him with the with the whole Loma dispute, and then Josh Taylor giving up the belts. But yeah, he has the best resume right now. Would you agree or not?
Absolutely. I mean, come on, man. Lineal champ, lineal. I'm going to go ahead and say it, Frank. Undisputed in 2 divisions. There's a big discussion about that. People go, well, he didn't beat Haney. He didn't have this belt. He didn't have that belt. He beat the man at 135. So there wasn't a dispute. Number 2, he beat Taylor at 140. He was the man. There was no dispute. What, does he have to beat Roy Romero to become undisputed? Get the fuck out of here. So no, absolutely, You're right. He's leading the pack. He's leading the pack, absolutely.
Yeah, And I have to say that, as far as what's happening now, yeah, he had the Cambosos, can I cuss here? The fuck up. And then he went off the rails. He went delusional. He's super cringe now, but I think it goes back to what you said about being a star. You just got to win, And as far as the Ortiz win, look spectacular, and I'm here for the Bud Crawford fight. I mean, I'm somebody that would support that. I think it's a decent pay-per-view, maybe 350,000 buys, 450, K buys. I don't know what you guys think. A lot of people hate it, but I'd rather see that than Canelo versus Crawford.
Hey man, listen. There's a demand for both fights. In some polls, people prefer to see Canelo versus Crawford. So if it happens, I don't think the Benavidez fights fans can complain too much because it's what the market dictates, and there's a lot of experts out there who are picking Crawford to beat Canelo. They think he's too skilled. Canelo's past it. He's rudimentary. He's got Mexican style, which ain't good apparently. So hey, there's some people out there that believe that it is a good fight. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just one of those people that doesn't believe that Crawford walks on water. I mean, he's 37. He hasn't fought in a year. He's not fighting anybody. So I want to see Teo. I mean, now he has to look spectacular. Like he can't struggle like he did against Sandor, or look average like he did against Campbell. He lost to Campbell, so it was a tough fight. But tomorrow night he has to go in there, look spectacular. I did post that pic. Yeah, that guy he's massive. He's huge. Pause, no homo.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be an easy fight, but he definitely needs a stoppage. But if he does, then I think Super Stardom is next. He needs a big fight. So that's what I got to say for it, man.
All right. Well, listen, we'll see what happens in September. We'll see what happens tomorrow, too, between these two guys. And appreciate your call there, Frank. I mean, Booty Juice impersonator. And catch you on the next one. Yeah. Catch you on the next one. I'm going to take it easy out there.
Thanks, Mr. BDA. Good show.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Hey, all right. I see it. The likes here, 85 likes. Good. We got past the 80 mark there with the likes. Now, if 50 more people hit it, we get to 100. But for the moment, we're still on the air here. Let's go to 336 here. 336, you're on the air. 336, what's on your mind?
Yo, BDA, anyone that supports a Crawford-Canelo fight is not a real boxing fan. It's a mismatch. Nobody's picking Crawford to win except the loud minority, a.k.a. the BLM fucking channels. It's a mismatch. Anyone who supports that garbage isn't a fan of boxing. And secondly, when it comes to Teo versus Jermaine, I wasn't surprised to see that Jermaine looked bigger, on the scales. He's just naturally a bigger dude. Because Teo's like a natural junior welterweight. And that's the only thing. I would like to see the Crawford-Teo fight if Teo's willing to take it. I just don't think he's naturally big enough for welterweight yet. I don't think he's going to fill into welterweight until he's like in his 30s or like very early 30s. I see him fighting at junior welterweight for the next 3-4 years. So yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
What's going on here?
So yeah, I still got Teo 8-4 UD. And not only that, if Teo does like lose 3, 4, 5 rounds, and struggles with Jermaine Ortiz, of course, the hanky paid off channels and shit like that are gonna cap for Devin and all that. But the reality is, Devin said himself he doesn't want to become undisputed at 140 or unify there with anybody that's a threat, aka Matthias or Teo. So if Teo wins, I'd like to see him fight Matthias next, because Haney's not going to do it. Haney's not going to fight Teo anyways, because Haney's a fucking pussy, coward, and a fraud. And he doesn't deserve a big fight anyways. He's an Amaro bum, and he's boring. But with that being said, it's going to be a great fight. I'm really excited for it. I can't believe it's already fucking happening. But just know, if Teo wins a competitive fight against a really high-level guy and struggles a little bit, he's going to get a lot of hate. But Jermaine Ortiz is way, way more dangerous than a 35-year-old, clearly regressing and somewhat one-dimensional Regis Prograis. And that's not even debatable with anyone that knows boxing. So that's all I got to say on that.
People in the chat, hold on. People in the chat are calling you out. Quentin Latsiter is saying, how come you're saying Ortiz is too big, but you want to see Benavidez fight Canelo?
Because Canelo's seen as this, god at 168 by the Mexican fan base, can't lose, unbeatable. Everybody ducked him, Bivol ducked him. he got all the titles without fighting the best fighter in the division. And Canelo himself chose to go to 168 when it was beneficial because he didn't have to fight Benavidez for a title. And it shows. That's why he's not fighting him now. Yeah, Benavidez is the bigger man than Canelo. But the thing is, guess what? You fight at the weight class too fucking bad. There's been many great fighters that have fought naturally bigger men. So that's just how it goes. You're going to compete at the weight class. You're going to fight those guys.
It's the same thing with Ortiz, though. Then he's just the same thing with Ortiz. But it's the same thing with Ortiz, Dora. It's the same thing with Ortiz. Hey, Lopez is fighting at that weight. Let's not bring up any weight bullying then, because he's choosing to fight at that weight.
No, but Jermaine Ortiz isn't like a legit, full-blown weight boy. I'm just saying he's naturally going to be 5 or 10 pounds bigger than Teo. That's what I was expecting.
I mean, look at the size of this dude.
He'll be a welterweight in there.
Look at the size of this dude on the screen. If you can see it, I put it up earlier too. I don't know if you can see it, but
oh no, I just saw the weight. He's huge, dude. The guy's fucking. He'll have 10 pounds on Teo, I bet, in the ring, or damn near. That's not full-blown weight battery.
Oh shit.
But I guess I don't care. If Canelo's going to be held to this pound-for-pound number one status, he needs to take risks that the best fighter in the world would do. And fighting Terence Crawford, a welterweight that's 36 years old, is not that. It's not indicative of the best fighter on the planet. Beating Benavidez gives him that claim, or at least a very strong argument for it. But no, I'm not going to put this guy in the top 3 when he hasn't taken a hard fight since he got spanked by Bivol. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but can I just say this, man? Can I just say this? The same reason why you want to see Canelo Benavidez is because you said Canelo walks on water in the eyes of a lot of people, so that's why you want to see Benavidez put him in his place. A lot of people feel the same way about. A lot of people feel the same way about. A lot of people feel the same way about Crawford. That a lot of people are painting him to be as a guy that walks on water, so they want to see Canelo, straighten him a little bit, just a little bit.
Though? The people that don't support boxing, the people that are paid off by other, certain members in the media to spew a narrative, people that don't buy pay-per-views, the people that believe Crawford will win, they're not going to actually support the fight themselves. And it doesn't matter. It's a mismatch. It's an allowed minority. If you poll legitimately 1,000 rational boxing fans, 80 to 85% would probably pick Canelo Alvarez to beat him.
I don't know, man. I see a lot of people, like I said before, like I said on Soul vs. Podcast, I'm a man of the people and I speak for the people. I'm a salt to the earth type of guy. I got my finger on the pulse of them. All right, go ahead and interrupt me. You go ahead. Yeah, you're right. You go ahead. You talk.
Man.
Go ahead. You talk. Go ahead. You talk.
Actually, it's the same shit with Rigo and Loma 7 years ago. It was a mismatch.
It's not the same thing.
The guy had no chance. Not only was he outskilled, he just had no chance, dude.
All right, listen, hold on. I gotta move on, but Sobers wanted to say something here. Sobers, you wanted to weigh in here?
Yeah, you're saying that this dude has to. It's tough shit that he has to fight the guys in his division. I can turn around and tell you, bro. David, I mean, I've told you many times, fucked his chance up to fight Canelo twice. So now it's tough shit for him, and he has to wait.
Okay, look, I'm not hearing that. The reality
he has to make weight and stay in the weight class.
Contender for the last 3 years. The WBC gave Canelo Alvarez a vacant title to beat.
Hey, yo.
That's an objective fact. I'm not going to argue about it anymore. Canelo needs to fight the number one guy in the division.
That's
I'm not
tough
arguing about
shit, bro. He has to wait.
Yeah, life ain't fair, man. Oh, he hung up. All right. Well, shout out to Dora. I always appreciate the energy. And fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Let me just get to a super chat here from our favorite Puerto Rican, the Don of Bayamon. Recognize the Matrix. Shout out to Recognize. He says, I'm gathering all my Rican bros to confront Teo and his drunk Papa Peto. Salute to bra and the family. Shout out to you, Recognize. You really didn't have to donate, man. And by the way, I don't know if you guys does the invite on Discord expire after an hour? Because I sent an invite at the beginning of the show, and hopefully you guys got it. If you didn't, let me know. I'll restart the whole thing. I mean, I'll restart the call here so that everyone gets it. But yeah, let me know, man. Let me know if you got the invite, fellas.
Yeah, I thought you were driving the car alone tonight, BDA.
Well, I mean, listen, I can do it. I can do it solo. I'm hardcore. I do what I got to do. I don't need any barbiturates or anything. But I do what I do. Hey, by the way, let's get another phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323. You're on the air. 323. What's on your mind?
Hey, BDA, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Well, I was going to talk about Teofimo with this guy. What is it? This weekend, or is it tomorrow? Actually,
it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yeah. Where you been?
Tomorrow. Yeah, I think Jermaine Ortiz is a good matchup, man. I think the guy looks pretty durable, and I think isn't he a little taller than Teofimo?
He looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I have no problem with the fight. I like the fight. I think it's going to be a really good fight, and I got no problem with the fight. I'm not one to underestimate Teofimo anymore. I think he's better in big fights. He's really proven that he's better in big fights. If he doesn't think you're a worthy opponent, it looks like he slacks on training. He slacks on whatever. I don't know what kind of nonsense he's actually taken in when he's confronted with these guys that he doesn't feel that are at his level. But I would like to see some more consistency with him. We all didn't like the Sandro Martin fight, and of course in my opinion, he had a really off night with Kambosos. So as far as the Canelo thing is concerned, yeah, I don't really see Crawford beating Canelo because I don't think Crawford is that durable. I think he got shook by the Mean Machine. So I don't know, man. I don't know if he's that durable. I mean, this guy's been in the ring with guys that are pretty heavy hitters, and he's got that chin. The mobility thing might be an issue. Crawford still looks like he's very mobile. He looks like he's just very slick, and he's very crafty. He's a very creative fighter. As far as boxing skills concerned, I think Crawford is the superior talent. But I think that Canelo I think Canelo would wear him down. That's my opinion. Still, I'm sticking to that. And the same standard should have fucking applied to Crawford. I mean, I heard Ring IQ make a great point that no one's calling him a duck for ducking Boots Ennis and taking care of that division. I really think these guys should stick to their own divisions and clean it out. That's how I feel. I really don't really care to see Crawford and Canelo fight. It's not my first choice. I think if he's going to sit at the throne, he really should be cleaning up people in his division. And I still don't think David would win that fight, but it would be a great fight to see. At least just to shut people up about it. And I don't know. Nobody wants to see fucking Charlo and Canelo fight. And this brings me back to another thing and we've talked about this before. David Benavidez' dad came out, and I remember this because I even looked it up. We were on the Open Lines Friday one time, and I looked it up, and it was in March of last year that Benavidez Sr. came out and talked about the 3-fight deal they had already made with PBC. And part of that 3-fight deal involved either it involved Plant for sure. It didn't involve Canelo. It involved Plant. I think it involved Demetrius Andrade and somebody else, and I forgot what name. I think it was Steven Morrell that was thrown. So it was those 3 names that were thrown in that 3-fight deal. So people have to remember that too. Benavidez Sr. had talked about that already before Canelo even signed up with the PBC. So the fact that we're not getting this fight this year is not a huge surprise, but I don't like the options that the road that Canelo's taken. I think we could all criticize him for that because that's not what anybody wants to see right now. Nobody wants to see Canelo Crawford. Nobody wants to see fucking Canelo Charlo. That's a totally useless fucking fight.
Don Mardazos, I disagree about that. Nobody wants to see Crawford Canelo. I mean, I'm looking at certain polls and they're asking people who would you rather see Canelo fight, Benavidez or Crawford, and depending on the site, some people have Crawford as a lead opponent.
I mean, okay, maybe nobody is a strong word, but I don't think as many people want to see that. I know that when Crawford became undisputed and Crawford started calling out Canelo, that raised a lot of eyebrows and said, "Oh, that sounds like a good fight." Because you got to understand just how fickle the community is. If somebody gets a win, even if it's against a complete fucking schlep, all of a sudden it's like they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. All of a sudden, oh, that's the king of the division. People have to cool their jets and just realize, like, before Crawford called out Canelo, it was the talk was strictly Benavidez. Once that flame kind of like simmered down, the Benavidez discussion came up again, and that's always been there. And I'm not going to change my position on that. I want to see that fight. I want to see how competitive this guy really is. Benavidez.
Listen,
I want to see how competitive this guy really is. And I know he's going to be busting at the fucking seams to make this fucking weight. I know he's going to come in as a weight bully, but what difference is that from any other opponent Canelo's faced? The guy only fights big fucking people. That's has been his career since he was in 160 pounds. All he's been fighting is bigger guys.
Well, I'll say this.
So
man.
I still want to see that. I want to see if he still has it too. You know, I mean, he's going to sit there with all those belts.
But what I'm saying is there's two fights that apparently the boxing public wants to see, Canelo Crawford and Canelo Benavidez. So if either one happens, you said you don't want to change your position. Guess what, man? Boxing is like sleeping with someone. You got to change position sometimes, otherwise it gets stale. So you got to go with the flow, man. You got to adapt and overcome. So that's all I'm saying. I'm on the record.
Have you done a poll? Have you guys done a poll of who they would rather see Canelo fight, Crawford or Benavidez?
Yes.
Have you done that at all with your viewers?
Yes, in our poll,
what's the
our audience prefers to see Canelo versus Benavidez.
Yeah, of course. That's most audiences right there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Most.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean to say everyone or nobody wants to see Canelo Crawford. I'm sure there's idiots that want to see that fight, but most.
You calling me an idiot, bro?
Benavidez. Wait, who's that?
Sobers, never sobers.
Oh, never. No. You know what? You make good points, man. I think I like your commentary. As a matter of fact, what's your page called, or your
YouTube
channel?
The same. Just type
No.
how my name is in the chat.
Don't you have your own thing going on?
Oh, so yeah, just type in my name in how it is in the chat.
Yeah, it's just the channel. If you want to look for. Never sobers, but he's got a
Discord, so I could.
He's got a special moniker for it. It's La Taqueria, Boxing Taqueria. But technically, if you want,
you can type in the Boxing Taqueria and it should pop up. So my video should pop up because I don't think anyone else uses that trash name.
Yeah, what was it? Some people were saying it was chicken.
All right, guys. Well, I mean that.
Chicken and waffles is what people are joking around about. They say that it's
also you can type in Waffle House Boxing Talk. You can also type in Waffle House Boxing Talk.
Oh man! All right, well listen, man. Not my lessons. We got to move on, man. But your point is taken. I'm in line with you. I'd rather see Canelo versus Benavidez, but we'll see what happens in September.
Yeah, I mean, look. As far as I'm concerned, right now, it's a duck. That's plain and simple. In my opinion, Canelo's ducking this dude. It doesn't seem like for me. That's what it looks like. I'm going to call it for what it is. It's a fucking straight up duck. And Benavidez is also ducking Morrell, and Crawford is also ducking Boots Ennis. We're just going to call it what it is. That's what it is. That's what it looks like right now.
That doesn't sound quite right, but okay, yeah, you're right, man. I mean, it's we want to see the best fight the best, absolutely, and we'll see what happens, man. All right, listen, Domadas, we're gonna move on. Thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, you too, man. All right, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. We're still going to stay here for a little bit. If the likes keep going up, let's get to 100 now. 8 people need to hit that like, and we get to 100. And everything is hunky-dory. All right. Hey, by the way, Sobers, is that the real you in the chat there? Badfish Boxing, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know, man.
I want to change my name to something with boxing in it, because I don't feel like... I mean, Never Sobers is... I like... That's my moniker that I use online or whatever, but there's no boxing attached to that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, yeah, that's a good... way to go about it. Okay, speaking of Lopez, that's the other thing. Some people are saying that they'd be willing to watch Teofimo Lopez versus Terence Crawford. Of course, Lopez has to get past Ortiz tomorrow, which is no easy task. Never Sobers, I'm sharing the screen with you here. Crawford showed up at the weigh-in today. He showed up looking like Omar from The Wire, and check this out.
Is he wearing a wig? What's up with his hair, bro?
He's wearing a do-rag. Yeah, it looks like a wig. No, but check this out, man.
You saw T.O. weigh in. What you think about it? T.O.
Creo que sí.
Omar coming, yo.
Stupid. He tried to walk off like he's like this is a wrestling promotion and shit. This ain't the WWE. Why else is he there, BDA?
Well, you got to remember, Sobers. First of all, that's a good point. I obviously the answer is because he wants the clout, like they say. I mean, this is a guy that's been showing up at all the weigh-ins, all the press conferences since he beat Spence. I'm surprised he hasn't shown up with all his belts like Teofimo Lopez did one time. Remember that he showed up to a Canelo event? He showed up with all the belts. Like, come on, disputed two guys. And that's the same thing with Crawford here. He's showing up all over the place. He's on the Spence 6 months Spence victory tour. This guy just refuses to let people forget that this happened. Sobers, what do you think? Is this a fight that you would like to see? Lopez versus Crawford.
Crawford and Teofimo. It would be a good, interesting challenge for Teofimo, but we really got to see how he looks. Against Ortiz. Ortiz has a chance to upset him. It's not highly likely, but he's a live dog. I think he's going to give him some problems. And Crawford, no, dude, I don't want Crawford in a fight where he's the bigger guy, dude. I feel like he has bigger dimensions than everybody. He doesn't give up anything to anybody in any of his fights. I want to see him in a fight where he's not the favorite, bro.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying that he was there to support Keyshawn Davis, but I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen him in other events, just showing up.
I didn't see him next to Keyshawn at all.
Well, maybe, I mean, they're friends, right? And they have the same trainer, so it would make sense. But at this point, it's like the Tyson Fury thing. It's suspect because he's set a precedent before. You no longer know whether he's there just for the attention or whether he's there to support his friend. But Sobers, I gotta ask you too. What did you make of this Lopez antics where he said Puerto Rican fighters can't F with him? Then he said, no, people misconstrued my words. What I meant to say was that Puerto Rican fighters today can't mess with me. And again, the question I'm asking people is whether this type of approach, this vexatious approach actually works. Cantankerous approach. Does it work to attract eyes to the event? And what is the proof, if any, that it does?
I think that Teofimo, bro, I like watching him fight, I don't like listening to his interviews. I think he always makes himself sound goofy. He's always come from a different angle. I was listening to another interview of his. I think I might have found maybe some of the root of it. He said he's taking ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably all loopy and shit, like, Wilder. But
well,
as far as him picking at Puerto Ricans, go ahead, BJ.
I was going to say Wilder is loopy and looby. I think there's a lot of lube residue in the backside. But yes, go ahead.
Like booty loose.
Oh, come on.
We're going to say, but as far as him picking at Puerto Ricans, I don't think that's a bad thing. He's getting people's ire, and he's getting, attention. We are talking about it. People are going to want, Puerto Ricans are going to be mad at that. And also he has a point, dude. Puerto Ricans are kind of MIA on the world map right now. They usually have superstars, mega superstars, active, and they don't right now. Like not hating or whatever. It would be good to have more, competition, more something else in the stew. You know what I mean? Because we're used to having Mexican and Puerto Rican big fights, and you know what I mean. We don't have none of those right now. We're still wondering what Edgar Berlanga can do, or waiting on Xander Zayas to get a little bit older. The only major Puerto Rican fighter I've seen that I think is really good right now is that guy Collazo, but he's at a smaller weight, so not many people are going. And a lot of people are going to watch him.
Thank you. That's the guy I forgot to mention, Collazo, the strawweight. He's a good technician too. Under 10 fights, he became a titleist. So, yeah, man, Puerto Rico is on the comeback. Look, you can't have the legacy that Puerto Rico has in boxing and not come back with something. They had a lull after Cotto, but they're starting to spring. I mean, they got like you said, Emmanuel Rodriguez. They got Collazo. They got Berlanga on the come. Xander Zayas on the come. Shakur Stevenson, well, at least half of him. And there's another one that I keep forgetting, Matias. So come on, man.
Let's say, BD, you know what he could be doing? He could be trying to pick a fight with Matias, and he could be trying to get Puerto Ricans to start hating on him because he's fighting a half Puerto Rican right now, right? And that's already given up. Some of the people are like already on his ass, like, you do this shit now. You're full Puerto Rican if you win. You know what I mean, Ortiz. So, he could be picking a fight for Matias next. Maybe not Crawford. I don't think Crawford's gonna fight him.
Hey, it would be better if Shakur Stevenson were to come out all of a sudden on Twitter, and because
and I'll do it for Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Exactly, because he actually. I played a video earlier where Keyshawn Davis confronted Teofimo Lopez about, hey, why'd you mention my name, blah blah blah, and Shakur Stevenson came out on Twitter and said, oh man, see, Teofimo Lopez, once you step up to him in real life, he's a pussy. And lo and behold, I start reading the comments. Right away, the first 3 comments are trashing him for running against the Los Santos. So this guy still can't live that down. People haven't forgotten. So if he wants to have a little bit of redemption, I think he should come out as a Puerto Rican full on and say, hey, Teofimo Lopez, tú no hablas así de mí, chico. You don't talk about my people that way. Man, I'm telling you, that could potentially save him because he's desperate now. Announcing retirement, blah blah blah. He needs a lifeline, and I do believe that the Puerto Ricans can provide that.
Yeah, bro. I really think that if he did that, that would get him some people on his side again.
And by the way, that
wouldn't be a bad fight.
No, it would be. I'd watch it. Why not?
He's
man?
probably, but he's BDA. He don't want to fight. He don't want to fight Teofimo though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's we'll see what happens. You know who else I forgot? Puerto Rican Henry LeBron. He's the guy that beat William Foster in the last one. And I remember William Foster's the guy who the first guy to beat Edwin de Los Santos. So this LeBron guy. I mean, so that's 7 guys at the world level that they have. So come on, the Puerto Ricans are making a comeback. Iron Templar says, shout out to him for his contribution to the super chat. He says, what is this? He says, Puerto Ricans have a very ungodly culture and priorities and prioritize partying over hard work. It's sad how far from grace they have fallen. On top of that, they weight cut too much. Russians are the best fighters. Iron, where are you getting this from? They're ungodly people. I'm telling you, man. I mean, thank you for the super chat, but I completely disagree with what you're saying. I mean, and even if it were true,
is BDA.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna do the old joke where I go, yeah, you're right, but that doesn't make them bad people. So in other words, that's the guy that's agreeing with these egregious comments, but then at the end he goes, that doesn't make him bad people. So in other words, you're saying that what he's saying is true. But anyway, listen, the point is, Iron Templar, I'm not sure that Puerto Ricans are... They do have Santeria, though. But then again, that's like Mexico. We have black magic in our neck of the woods, too. So there's bad in all cultures. But yeah, sobers, they're not ungodly people, are they?
No, I think Puerto Ricans are very religious people.
Exactly. I mean, they watch Telemundo religiously.
But they still got the Taino blood, you know? That savage blood in them. You know what I mean?
That's true, yeah. You know, we need a Foca to address Iron Templar. Because Foca's 100% Puerto Rican. I mean, you just look at him, you go, yeah, that's Puerto Rican right there. And he probably wouldn't take too kindly to comments such as this. So, you better watch it, Iron Templar. Watch your keister, mister. Because Foca's going to be on your ass. What else was I going to say?
This is what I really want to know I want to see this matchup. I want to know who can cut better hair, Puerto Ricans or Dominicans. That's the real rivalry. That's a real rivalry.
Hey, man, you just set up a nice event right there, man. 1 million pay-per-view buys right there if they hold that on pay-per-view. Easy. I wanted to bring something up here. This dude, okay, because we know the BDA Research and Development Lab is always working on new technology. So we can now take a picture, identify the person via face and voice recognition software. And we got this guy from Top Rank who I think he works security or something. And you can see he's looking down there. You can guess where he's looking. And we can actually now surmise with artificial intelligence technology, piece together what he's thinking based off his body language. And this is what he's saying.
Man, that's a great ass.
Oh, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's true.
That is a great ass.
Nah, come on. That's not what he's saying.
What the fuck?
Great ass!
All right. What's going on here, man? Let's move on here from this. Let me try to take this. I'm trying to take this picture down, but for some reason I can't find the button. All right, here we go. All right, I wanted to ask you... oh, boy. Sobers is having a fit. I wanted to bring this up here. This is from Jay Calderon Boxing. By the way, Iron Templar, shout out to Iron Templar for another contribution with the super chat. He's clarifying, by the way, he's saying I'm Puerto Rican, part Puerto Rican, by the way. All right. I don't know if that's true or not. Or maybe he's like Shakur Stevenson, where he's claiming to be Puerto Rican, but I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Shout out to Iron Templar for his contribution.
Just because you have a low fade, that does not make you Puerto Rican. If you have a tapered fade, bro, that does not make you Puerto Rican.
Yeah, that's right. Rapak says Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and anybody that speaks Spanish from the Caribbean is considered a tropical Mexican. Yeah, that's what white people from the Midwest say. They call them tropical Mexicans. that's a good one.
Hilarious.
Right there,
I've never heard that, bro. That's funny.
Neither, yeah. Jungle Mexicans. Recognize says, when I was a barber back in the 90s, I was taking all the Dominican Republic's customers. 100% facts. Well, there you go.
Damn. I'm gonna have to find a Puerto Rican barbershop.
Yeah, there you go, man. Do you have the Edgar haircut, or do you have a?
No, I don't got no Edgar haircut, BDA.
All right, I got the Ryan Garcia haircut, by the way. Nice.
I got the samurai top knot. I got the samurai top knot with the fade, bro.
All right, yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right. All right, now I wanted to break. Speaking of from one Puerto Rican to another here, a subject. Jay Calderon on Twitter has this to say, which, by the way, this is something that Jimmy was saying a while back. Check this out. Apparently, Shakur Stevenson is not the only one in need of a lifeline. After his desultory performance against Edwin De Los Santos that just bored everybody to death, apparently now Top Rank is refusing. Again, this is what Jimmy had said earlier in the week, or 2 weeks ago, rather, more than that maybe, that he'd heard that Top Rank doesn't really want to deal with Shakur Stevenson, that they offered him a re-up deal to a new contract, and because it's coming to an end, and that Shakur Stevenson apparently wanted more money. So here's what Jay Calderon has to say. Undefeated 2-division world champion Shakur Stevenson has one fight remaining on his deal with Top Rank and is not retiring. He has declined a 5-fight extension with Top Rank worth $15 million. He will honor the last fight on his contract and will enter free agency. So that's one thing that I don't recall Jimmy saying about the free agency thing, which is a big deal, though. Never Sobers, what do you think? Does that mean that, or I mean, if we had to speculate, obviously, but do you think Shakur Stevenson thinks he's worth more than $15 million spread across 5 fights?
He definitely thinks he's worth more, and that's his problem. It's his problem is the people that made him think that are the ones that are now kind of lowballing him. What he thinks are lowballing him, you know. And I think I seen an interview with Teofimo talking about it, where he says like, you know, this guy thinks he's worth more than they offered him, so he just doesn't understand. He looked right at the camera and he said like, you got to take the pay cuts, dude. You got to, you know, you look bad in your last fight, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? So well, he has like this kid Stevenson. He got like delusions of grandeur. Someone told him that if he fought Davis the way he fought De Los Santos, that he wouldn't win on the cards. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't know who made you God to tell me what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna keep doing exactly what I do, and I'm gonna beat everybody the same way, and I'm gonna be the best, and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like he doubles down every time.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on, man. He's like Fredo in The Godfather.
I'm smart and I want respect.
He thinks that just by demanding respect, he's gonna get it. And like you said, he's doubling down and saying, there's just so much wrong with this. It's freezing my brain here. First of all, like somebody said, no, but it's true, right, Sobers, because like you said, who's speaking this shit into his head that he thinks he's this Floyd Mayweather character? Again, these guys, it's been said ad nauseum, but it's true. A lot of these young guys think that they're Floyd Mayweather without going through the route that he went through. Instead of fighting the best, these guys already think they fought the best. Now, Shakur Stevenson already jumped a step. He already had an early retirement, like Floyd Mayweather did in 2008. But at least Mayweather had been a professional for 12 years at that point when he retired the first time. This guy's been a professional for 6 years? I mean, they're skipping steps all over the place, man. It's unbelievable. And like people in the chat are saying, 15 mil across 5 fights, that's 3 mil per fight. That's good money. Plus, I'm pretty sure
that's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
I'm pretty sure, Sobers, that the contract has some sort of clause where he can probably negotiate a little bit more, you know, in a split.
If he can get a knockout, you know?
Yeah, something like that. Or like, I don't know, something. But for him to complain,
or if he lands a certain amount of over 100 punches in a fight, right?
Yeah, exactly. If he actually, if a certain percentage of the crowd manages to stay awake, yeah, he gets a bonus. I think that's something that they should look into. But yeah, man, Sobers, man. I mean, this is disappointing to hear from a boxer. Now, it does make you wonder, though. Maybe he'll look at the smart guy at the end of the day if he managed to get a better deal with someone else. Do you think that's possible?
I don't know. I mean, he got that Jay Prince dude behind him, right? So if he got him behind him, I'm sure he'll probably end up, landing somewhere, somewhat all right. But the price he's asking, he's not going to get. I don't think he's going to get that $3 million anywhere else. So he might have already done something silly, because sometimes it works out. Like for more recent, I could think of that guy, that MMA fighter, Francis Ngannou.
Mm-hmm.
He left the UFC because they're trying to pay him like like $1 million to fight John Jones, and then he got like 10, 15 to fight Ngannou, and I mean to fight Fury, and now he's gonna get like 20 to fight AJ. So he bet on himself and won. This guy Adrian Broner, he got offered $40 million from that Jay-Z's company, Rockefeller. They had a promotion, and he told them to go fuck themselves, and he ended up fucking himself, because he really could have used that money. And the same thing with Teofimo. And Teofimo said in an interview as well, he said, bro, sometimes you got to take the pay cut. He tried to bet on himself, and it kind of ended up blowing up back in his face. Teofimo bounced back. We don't know if we'll see what happens if this kid runs into a loss. This is what I think will happen. What can happen to him? He can expose himself to really dangerous competition if he leaves top rank. Because someone like, say, Eddie Hearn takes him, I think Eddie Hearn will probably mash him up rough.
You think so?
Try to see what. Yeah, I think so. Kind of.
Huh.
See what he's made of quick, because the money he's asking for, bro, he's gonna have to I need something quick, because I don't think he has that over there to be giving that out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Maybe because Rapid always said that Eddie Hearn's never met a shirtless black man that he disliked, and Shakur Stevenson is part Afro-Anglo, half Puerto Rican, half Afro-Anglo, and he's the type of guy that the establishment was pushing a lot as the next Mayweather, the next this, the next that. So maybe Eddie Hearn would fall under that spell too. But you're right. Maybe now, with the way the business is restructuring, again, the fact that Top Rank offered him this deal is indicative of them saying, look, now we know what your worth is. You're not an exciting fighter. We really tried pushing you as the next boxing savant technician. It ain't working out. So take it or leave it. And Shakur Stevenson, like you said, he's got Jay Prince whispering in his ears. He's probably thinking, man, I can probably go somewhere else, man. That's fine. But again, it better not be the PBC, because if he thinks things are bad now, wait till he joins that sinking ship. We got Recognize jumping in here. Recognize, are you there?
I'm here to defend my peoples against Tio and his father.
Now, but Recognize,
it works.
Nah, I don't think it's going to work with Recognize. But Recognize, I'll ask you this question. You've been watching boxing a long time. I mean, just to put into perspective for people how big a fan Recognize is, one of the great tragedies in his life was the fact that he had some relationship problems, and as vengeance, one of his significant other ended up throwing away his many boxes of boxing tapes that he had. So that just goes to show you, Recognize a real boxing fan. He's a hardcore fan. So Recognize, what do you make of this whole thing of talking trash to sell a fight? I've had some callers call in earlier, and they say that they believe that it works, that it makes people want to tune in because they want to see the guy lose. Do you agree with that, or what's your stance on this?
I think Sobers said it best. I believe it was Sobers, one of the callers. It was probably a mixture, right? One of the callers said that, hardcore boxing fans are gonna buy the fights anyway.
That was me.
They'll watch those fights. That was you. Okay, sorry. And Sobers, I believe, said the casuals will buy that. Like they like the trash talking shit. That might appeal to them. So look, man, it's not gonna make me feel any different about Teofimo that he went after Puerto Rican fighters. In a way, he's kind of right. In today's landscape, there's no real big Puerto Rican star. There's some good fighters. I think Jermaine Ortiz is he half or
yeah
Puerto Rican?
He's half DR, half PR.
Yeah. That's a typical mix. Shout out to my son. That's what he is.
He's all reggaeton, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So no, I just think I think it's just, it's an attempt to appeal to that sector, like, oh, come watch me fight because I'm challenging your boy, type of shit. I'm challenging one of your boys, so come watch my fight. I mean, at the end of the day, it's these people, they say things that they think will work, and it might work and it might not. I'm still gonna stick to my decision. I think that I'm giving the edge to Teofimo. I think this would be a good fight. I think Ortiz has shown the ability of actually when it comes to like elusive boxing skills, I think he's better. Maybe Teofimo overall is stronger, and that's enough to offset maybe the slightly more advanced skills on his side over Teofimo. So
now let me bring this up to you. Recognize, because somebody posted this picture on the Discord. Apparently, this is Ortiz when he's not cutting weight. I'm just putting it up on the screen here now. For a lot of people, that's a big dude. For me, I mean, I was like, all right, I'm not impressed. But he's still a big dude.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm not impressed. And that doesn't impress me.
Yeah, there you go. I knew you wouldn't. But I mean, you got to face the facts. He has to boil down that muscle to 140 pounds. That's the key question there. Conditioning. Is he going to be conditioned enough? Because I mean, he sort of faded against Lomachenko.
Look, it's hard to say in pictures, man, right? It's hard to say in pics, but in that picture right there, if that's real, bro, like when I used to work out all the fucking time, I got my arms like that. And I was like 220, 225.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's supposed to be fighting at 147, no?
Yeah, man. I mean look at this. That's a middleweight.
140.
Yeah, 140. That's insane. He looks like he weighs over 200 pounds of muscles in that picture,
Yeah, he looks like me when I do a little bit of weights.
I think it's kind of the angle, though. You know what I mean? And he might be bouncing on his toes. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, if you show me that,
boxers are really lean. Boxers are really lean. He does look heavier. He's probably like around 180.
You know what he's doing?
He's definitely heavy, right? He's definitely heavy.
If I didn't know who that was, and you showed me that picture, and you said, take a guess on how tall and how much does he weigh? I would guess like 6 feet, 5'11", 6 feet, anywhere from 180 to 190. That's what I feel like I'm looking at.
He looks what he's doing is, I think he's doing the old pigeon trick, where his arms are actually, see how he's pushing them against the side of his body so that the biceps and triceps protrude. That's the pigeon move. Have you guys seen the pigeon move?
Yeah,
the pigeon move.
You do it on your it's your lats. You push it on your lats, right? And you kind of like
you know what? Maybe it's better if I show you what I'm talking about. This is a YouTube community resident pigeon when he was going at it with No Name Hero over at World Rapids. Hold on a second. Pigeon, yeah, the YouTube pigeon, not an actual pigeon. Hold on.
The legendary pigeon.
Yeah. Well, here it is. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
No, shut up. Hey, I used to be exclusive. Shut the fuck up. The company people compete. When you saying you can 125 and you're not as lean, those are crazy numbers, dude. Yeah, I'm stronger than him.
Way too crazy, bro.
Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I already said, bro. I can bench 4 or 5 for 10.
You ain't getting no pussy. You ain't getting no pussy. You ain't getting no pussy. You ain't getting no pussy.
Yes.
Listen, man. Legitimately, Pitcher got some size to him, bro. Pause, but he does, man.
He's got but he's doing. But look, that's what I'm saying. It looks more impressive than what actually is because he's pressing the arms against the side of his. And but you're right. He does have a developed upper body. Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think he's been because he's up there in age. I think he's doing the TRT. That's what I think. That's what I heard.
The good old TRT. Good for him.
Yeah, no pussy. He fight 3 times. Wow, dude. Yeah.
You're like Brock Lesnar, bro. I don't believe you, bro. I could do
don't believe me.
Like for 20.
I've been benching for like almost. You ain't been benching shit. You ain't been benching shit.
All right. I think we got the gist. They start fighting about who benches more and how much he can bench. But the point is that going back to the boxing thing,
he's built like Povetkin a little bit.
Remember when Pigeon showed up on White Rapids overnight, and his hand was all scratched up. He had blood and bandages. He claimed he got into a fight with 5 people, 5 migrants. Then it turned out people were saying that essentially what happened, he went to buy a bottle of beer and he was drunk and fell onto the ground, and then he fell on his hand drunk, and then he claimed, oh yeah, I got attacked by 5 people. Oh man. Pigeon's one of the best characters in the YouTube boxing community, hands down. Bleeding hands down. But yeah, going back to this. Okay, so you guys are expecting a good fight tomorrow then, from what I gather.
Yeah.
I think more likely what happens is Teofimo doesn't get him out of there within the first 6 rounds. It goes 0-12, and I think Jermaine Ortiz has success in those those mid to late rounds, but it won't be enough to beat Teo. I think Teo will do a lot more in the first half of the fight and kind of like maintain a lead. I'm picking a decision. I think he might even knock down Jermaine Ortiz. I think Ortiz is going to have a lot of moments in that fight. You know, I think this is what I say. Teofimo 6'6" with a knockdown or 7-5. That kind of win.
I can see that. Interestingly enough, too, his father has been inconspicuous this fight week. Usually he's all over the place, calling attention to himself, crashing interviews. This time he's been in the background. Is this a sign that he's got more confidence in his son?
Nah. That's his son telling him, yo, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you gotta chill out. Yeah, man. Listen, man, we love our pops, right? But if our pops, like, we may not ever disrespect them in public, you know, like that's a no-no. But if my father talked like that, I'll pull him to the side and be like, yo, listen, man, don't talk for me. You know what I'm saying? Let me do that. You're not the one fighting. I'm doing all the fighting. I love you. You're my pops and all that. But don't do that shit. Because the next time you do it, I'm embarrassed.
Some of the stories you told me about your father indicates that you would never talk to him that way. He could probably still take you, even at your age.
Oh, yeah. My pops was in his 40s. I was in my 20s. Yeah, I would have had a problem. But at a certain point, when he realized, like, you know, like, he's a man, bro. That dude could take care of himself. He let me be. You know, he didn't write out checks for me. He let me do that.
Well, now it's interesting though. You said that Teofimo Lopez Sr. likes what he sees. I think you're right. I think he likes a lot of what he sees. Case in point, this video here that I played before, I think it bears repeating because I don't know what's going on here.
Bro, we are here. 9 o'clock at night, man. Getting this work. Look at that, baby. Look at that. Jesus Christ. Rick.
I think Teofimo Sr. really likes what he sees. He's zooming in there on the crotch, the sweaty crotch. He's talking about he's using the Lord's name in vain. I mean, come on.
Do you think they still sleep in the same bed, BDA?
Well, I mean, that's what they said.
I hope so. I hope not, man. That'd be sad, man. You know what's going on.
Sergeant CCD in the chat says Teo Sr. rubs baby oil all over him. I mean, look, I don't know where people are getting this from, though, that there's some type of homosexual shenanigans going on. Again, I haven't, other than that video that I just played, I haven't seen any evidence that, oh boy.
About that?
Shit, bro.
I don't know what that was about, man. I really think that this dude was well, maybe I shouldn't say that on there.
He's trying to be Ryan Garcia with PDA, bro.
You ever seen Dirty Dancing or what was it? Remember that video? She's a
He's trying to be Magic Mike or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not gay.
Maybe that's for the girls. Maybe that's just for the girls, bro.
I'm not gay. Just because I love his ass doesn't make me gay.
I mean, listen, I don't know what's going on there, man.
Danger, danger, danger.
I really wouldn't want to be around those guys.
He wants to be Miguel el Mágico. You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
He was doing a version of the Forbidden Dance. That's what he was doing right there.
Ah, the Forbidden Dance. Yes, of course. Much talked about, but only in secret, of course. Well, listen. It's a good fight tomorrow. Like I said earlier in the week, I like this, man. I like these midweek fights. The problem with ESPN, and I saw some people on Twitter talking about this, is not only the main event time, which is usually over there ESPN, it's usually about fucking midnight or 25 past midnight. And then they've got their studio segments, pieces, their video packages where they show you that these guys' lives. And I'm thinking, come on, man. If you're going to show 3 bouts, please just move through them quickly because I don't want to have to see each guy's life story before each fight. Also, well, actually, are we done with this fight? Because before we left, I wanted to bring up the fact that it is official, apparently. Beterbiev versus Bivol, June in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Let's hope nobody gets injured.
That's the best fight of 2024 so far. That is the best fight, man.
I mean, I hope I'm not being controversial here. I know it's just to each his own. I'm looking forward to this fight more than Fury Usyk.
Me too.
It's not a stretch to say that, right?
I think it would be more. It's a more impressive fight on paper. It's more even.
I think it's gonna be like a sleeper fight. You know what I mean? Like it is elite. These are 2 elite fighters, but I feel like a lot of Americans are not going to care. You know what I mean?
You're right about that. I think a lot of casuals won't care. I think a lot of us that are hardcore boxing fans,
this is an elite fight. You know?
Yeah, this is an elite fight. You got Beterbiev, the knockout king, and then you got the fucking Mr. Technical, Bivol.
So I like the way they match up in the sense that they're both in the ring and they fight like professionals. You can tell they take this like their job and they take it seriously and they fight like professionals. Bivol never stays away from his game plan. He doesn't overextend himself too much. He doesn't get himself too tired. He keeps it professional. He knows what he needs to do. And the same thing with Beterbiev, except Beterbiev punches destroy you over time, and he just works you down. He wears you down and he destroys you. But he fights in a professional manner, like there's like a workman-like manner. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's gonna be them two doing that to each other is gonna be very interesting. To see which ones if Bivol can stand up to his punches or he can keep himself safe.
It's like
this is the kind of fight. BDA, this is the kind of fight that, like, whoever, it doesn't matter who you think's gonna win. There's a doubt there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm picking this dude, but he could lose this fight, and that's all you ever want in a boxing fight. Like, look, I'm picking Usyk to beat Fury. I think to me that's more of a gut feeling than it is. Skills and all that has something to do with it too. But I'm going with a gut feeling on that one. But this fight, like, I got Beterbiev winning, and it has to do with the power and the strength more than anything else. But Bivol could be perfect in this fight. He could be, and Beterbiev never really gets in range, gets his rhythm down in order to stop him. You know what I'm saying, or to beat him up to win the fight. So I know that going in.
It's one of the must-see fights in boxing. That if you ask most hardcore boxing fans, it was at the top of the list 2 years ago. And I'm telling you, this is like a sleepover at the Lopez's, in the Lopez bed. Who's going to come out on top? That's the question everyone's asking. But I will say this, man. I will say this.
Listen to me, man.
Yo, BDA.
I don't like that analogy, but I get where you're coming from.
Well, it is what it is, man.
I'm gonna say, so if Bivol beats Beterbiev, is there no does he get full credit? Are we gonna say he aged him out? Beterbiev is gonna be 30. He's 39.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that this, as much as I'm looking forward to this fight, it is a little bit disappointing that Beterbiev is about 40 now, or about to be 40. He's injured all the time. He's fragile. And so it's almost like the Crawford Spence fights. I said the same thing about that. I didn't want to be too much of a party pooper, but I said, look, you got one guy in Spence who like I Am Your Leader kept describing him as the town drunk. The other guy's 35, so it wasn't exactly prime versus prime in there. And it's the same thing in this fight. You got to be realistic about it.
See, the problem I got with that is the same problem that I had with with the narrative that Canelo aged Golovkin, right? Okay, yes.
Golovkin was 35. This dude's 39, bro.
But what I'm trying to say is like they that was a narrative. I don't think that's what it was, because first of all, if you look at it, he was undefeated. He was still the recognized lineal champion at middleweight. Nobody dethroned him. And the same thing goes here. And in this case, you got one guy with 3 belts. He's 39, and the other dude is 33. They're both undefeated, and that's the point. That if Bivol were to win the fight, Beterbiev is 39, but he's unbeaten and he knocked out everybody. So his last opponent, he knocked out. Every opponent he was in there with, he knocked them out. So he's 39. That's not the reason why he's going to win the fight. He's going to win the fight because he executed his game plan.
That's a good point. Because like I was telling another caller earlier, sometimes people ask the question about a certain fighters. They go, well, who's the last young elite fighter he beat? And I'm thinking, well, youth sometimes is overrated. Because when Canelo fought Golovkin, Golovkin was 35, but at that point, he was better than most or than every other fucking middleweight. I mean, he was the best 2 middleweights fighting at that point. And it's the same thing with Beterbiev and Bivol. Beterbiev is 39, and I would have rather have seen this fight 2-3 years ago, but Beterbiev is still... I mean, in other words, what I'm trying to get at is it's between Bivol and Beterbiev to see who the best light heavyweight is. Point blank. There's no one else, is there? There's no Gvozdyk. There's no... Gvozdyk's still around, but come on. Beterbiev already took care of him. There's no Adonis Stevenson. There's no Kovalev. It's these 2 guys. It's up to these 2 guys now to see who the best is. By the way, shout out to Iron Templar, and I see we got somebody waiting in the phone calls here too. So, but before we get to him, shout out to Iron Templar, who says... Russians are the elite of the elite in all combat sports. We need more Russians to migrate to Puerto Rico and train the Puerto Ricans. I got Bivol. All right, so I'm starting to doubt whether this guy's actually Puerto Rican, but Russians are pretty good. I mean, the Soviet system actually created a lot of. I think they're fine technicians, but to say that they're the elite in all combat sports, I don't know about that. But shout out to you, Iron Templar, for your contribution with the super chat. Appreciate it. And let me just get to this phone call here, fellas. Let's go to 508. 508, you're on the air. 508. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How you guys doing? This is DP.
Oh, DP, man. What's up, man?
DP.
Not a whole lot, man. Just called in. I went on YouTube, so you guys were chatting it up. So I was like, let me join in, I seen you guys, when I joined, you guys were making fun of my guy. I guess he did something gay. I don't know. Teofimo's my favorite fighter.
You're a guy?
What was that?
Yeah, DP, people, sobers and recognized are a little miffed at the fact that you would refer to Lopez as your guy.
And then your name is DP.
Just like a term, not like... I get it. Well, here's the thing, recognize. You guys are all with these innuendos. I'm here to talk about boxing.
Oh,
okay. Sorry about
that. That's fair enough there, DP.
Yeah, let me correct it for you then. He's my favorite fighter. I like Teofimo.
There you go.
He's not my guy. But the thing is, to be serious, though, what do you guys think about this fight? Here's my thing. I think if he wants to try to fight guys like Terence Crawford, he's really got to show out tomorrow. And I think he learned his lesson from the Kambosos fight, where he just really thought he was all that and no one could defeat him. Mm-hmm. So I think if he takes it serious, which he is, and I don't know if you guys ever noticed this. Tell me, recognize. Have you noticed this? That Teo's dad's kind of taking a back seat. He's not really like he used to be. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I think Teo Jr. had a talk with his father. That's what I think happened.
Well, but DP,
right.
That's a good observation, because I mentioned that earlier too, and that's what we were trying to figure out what happened. Recognize believes that maybe Teofimo Lopez is starting to assert himself as a man and saying, "Listen, pops, you want early retirement at the home, or you want to stay with me here, but you simmer down." But DP, let me ask you this though, because I've had the people were calling earlier. And this is some people are seeing this close to a 50-50 fight. And again, a lot of that has to do with Teofimo Lopez. He sort of seems shown to be a bit of a hot and cold fighter sometimes. What are you expecting then tomorrow? If you had to really, if I had to press you into an official prediction.
Yes. Okay. So I see those exact same views. 50-50 fight. To me, that is a how should I say it? That is a knock against Teo. If people are saying this is 50-50, because Jermaine Ortiz, although he's a great fighter, I'm a little there's some nerves there because he's such a good fighter. But if Teo, if you're supposed to be what I think he is, he should be able to beat Ortiz and not just beat him. I'm looking for a stoppage, like a grand. I know the Taylor performance was pretty damn good, but I'm looking for something spectacular, like throwback Teo. That's what I'm as a fan of him that's followed him his whole career. We're expecting a stoppage, and if not a stoppage, a complete outclassing of a performance. But it's still a good fight, though. What I mean by that is Jermaine Ortiz is going to make it. It's not going to be like Shakur or someone. It's going to be some fireworks. Jermaine Ortiz is going to land some punches. Teo shows he's got a pretty good chin, and I just see I see exactly how I see it. I see Ortiz doing good early, just like he did versus Loma, and then as the fight wanes on, I want to see separation from Teo. That's the word I'm looking for. Separate yourself from these guys so you can start saying, I'm the guy,
That's a great point right there. That's what somebody brought that up during the official thing there, that he has to be impressive against Ortiz. Now, here's the other thing. Let's look ahead a little bit. Hopefully Lopez isn't doing the same thing, but looking ahead, would you be interested in a Lopez versus Crawford fight?
As my man, and he's not. Well, not my man. Sorry, I know Teo, and he's not ready for that. He's not, and I'm just being honest. I know he thinks he is, and here's the thing: what I do agree with BDA is that there's nothing wrong with him calling them out, though, because they are only one weight class. There's only one weight class difference. So he does have a point there, but as an avid Teofimo fan and watching him in his development, Crawford is way too experienced for him right now. He had a chance to end he had a chance to end Teofimo's career. So I don't want that. I like fights. I think if Teo stays on the path of fighting the Devin Haney's, the Gervonta Davises, and the Ryan Garcias, he can win those. But if you want to jump the generations and think you're just going to come up there and beat Crawford, it's not going to. I just don't see. I see it being more competitive in Spence, but I don't want to see Teofimo lose. So I don't really want to see that. I don't like that fight for Teofimo. I really don't.
Let me ask Sobers. Sobers, when he was saying that, you were laughing there a little bit. I mean, what's up with that? I think it's a fair point that he's making here.
Well, none with the point he was making that he corrected himself saying, my man.
Well, here's my thing about that, though. Here's my thing about that, though, DP, because you're saying, I don't want to see him lose. But, hey, man.
Yeah.
You give it your best shot. If you don't try, you don't succeed. I mean, he's got to try it. If he's a fighter, he's...
I'll give you that, B-Day. What I will say
thank you.
is if he goes out and outclasses Ortiz tomorrow and has a tremendous performance, and he deserves it. Do I think he has a chance? Yeah, anyone has a chance. He has a chance, and but I just think if I was his advisor, I'd be like, why don't you stick with these guys like Haney, Gervonta Davis? That's the guys that are in his. What they talk about, the four kings. He was supposed to be one of the four kings. So, to me, I think Teo was trying to do what he did before, which I get it. He wants to knock off the top guy. It was Loma. He knocked off him. And now, after that, he put his eyes on Taylor. So, he went and knocked off him. So, now the only thing next for him is, I got to knock off the next biggest guy. And he doesn't believe that Haney and the Garcias are on his level. That's what he thinks, not in terms of accomplishments, but I think in his view. So him and his dad are like, okay, we already knocked off Taylor, we knocked off Loma, let's go for Crawford. But the problem is that, it's a different ball game with that. Crawford is an experienced fighter, counterpuncher. I don't know what, you know what I mean? it's just a difficult. Let's see how he looks tomorrow night, and then we'll have it. If he just totally blitzes Ortiz and just look absolutely fantastic, I'm going to call you guys the next day, and we're going to have a different conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's dependent. He's got to get past Ortiz tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens. But it's an interesting fight for sure tomorrow, and obviously Lopez, that could be an option, the Crawford fight, and we'll see what happens there tomorrow, man. All right, well, listen, DP, thank you for
All right,
in.
well, I'll keep in touch. I got my boss calling me, but I'm going to keep listening to you guys. I want to hear what you guys got to say. Thanks.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you for your call. Take it easy out there.
Right,
you know, when thank you, man. Yeah, you know, when I was
work, bro.
when I was DPing, I didn't have a boss. I was my own boss. I mean, the person that you're DPing with, your collaborators, it's 50-50. Literally 50-50. But hey, listen, it is what it is. Yeah, man, so the whole Lopez versus Ortiz thing, it's going to be a good one. Lopez, but here's the thing, guys. Lopez is 26 now. And that might have been young back in the day, but nowadays these guys are rushed. They've got under 20 fights, and they've already got multiple titles. Same thing with Teofimo Lopez. He's 26. He's already been a 2-time undisputed champ. I mean, I think the path of least resistance at this point, of babying a guy, is out the window. I mean, he's a seasoned pro. Like I said, 2-time undisputed champ. If he wants to make the Crawford fight and Crawford wants it, fuck it. Why not make it?
And Teofimo is like one of those guys that he doesn't have a padded record. You get what I'm saying? Like some of it maybe in the first 10 fights of his career, maybe. Yeah. But everything else that was like step up fights. So he might be ready. Look, I think he loses, but we thought he was gonna at least 2 fights that I thought he was gonna lose, and he won. So that's it. That's saying something.
Exactly. Look, sometimes the risks fail. Like Khan versus Canelo, or Golovkin versus Brook. Brook versus Golovkin. But sometimes they work. Canelo versus Kovalev, Pacquiao versus De La Hoya. The boxing is, and by the way, it's not even that big a leap. I mean, he'd be going up a division. And Teofimo Lopez is lucky that he's in this era of divisions, because back in the day, if you weighed over 136, guess what? You were a welterweight. You could weigh the day of the fight 136, and the other guy's a 147 guy. That's the way it used to be back then. Law of the jungle. Nowadays, they've got this nice little buffer zone, 135, 140 to prepare for 147. So it is what it is, man. If he wants to dare to be great, that's a fight right there. Then again, Crawford's trying to dare to be great against Canelo, doing just that, jumping up multiple weight divisions. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Connection issues here. The connection's starting to falter a little bit. So I guess we'll wait things out for tomorrow. Again, don't forget, fellas, tomorrow, Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz on ESPN. Special midweek fight. Sobers, are you going to be going live tomorrow, or what's the schedule?
Yeah. No, yeah. We're going to be watching the fight.
There you go. You're going to be watching the fight at La Taqueria.
House Boxing Talk.
That's right. So join Sobers' Discord if you want to watch along. You want to do a watch along with Sobers, because of course he's not going to be actually showing the fight on YouTube. That would be illegal and against the law, and I would report him immediately if I caught him doing that. But yeah, man. What's that?
Officer. The YouTube cop. They call you.
No. I'm not a cop. I'm a peace officer. I have to maintain. And by the way, just for somebody was telling me on Black and Brown's podcast a while back. What's his name? Torvax. I forget, Pierre Torvax. I forget exactly how you pronounce his name, but he was telling me, going in depth about that. If you look at the books and the laws, federal FCC laws and all that, technically there's no actual problem watching these fights. Now, if you're watching the fight and streaming it in the interweb, of course that's a big problem. But if you're just watching it yourself, maybe I shouldn't even say this, but I think most people out there who are internet literate already know this. But yeah, sometimes people make a big deal out of it, like, you're stealing the fight, and I would agree, but technically that's not what the law says, and maybe I shouldn't even say that. Anyway, I might trim this part from the podcast. Anyway, guys, we gotta go. Shout out to Sobers. Shout out to Recognize. Stop laughing at me. Shout out to everybody. I don't know what happened. I don't know what just happened, man. But I'll have to. I'm telling you, man. At the end of the show, I always try to go out smooth, and then I just fucking trip and spilled the beans all over the place. But shout out to you. Shout out to you two fellas. Recognize sobers. Everyone that
clean
called
that
in.
mess up, man.
Hey, BD, I did something like that once when I was a kid, bro. I was walking with a hot Maruchan right out of the microwave, and I tripped over like my dad's shoe, and I poured it all over my shoulder, bro.
Oh,
I felt like I was on fire doing it. My grandma put like a bunch of mayonnaise all over it.
Oh, that's the classic Mexican. The classic Mexican
shit,
home.
bro.
Yeah, the classic Mexican home remedy, man. Like, oh, you get a head. If you have a headache, you have to drink a warm Sprite. Yeah.
And I was chasing around like my brother and my cousin. They're running away from me all day, saying I stink like shit, and they want to play with me, bro. It was funny.
You smell like mayonnaise. That's why.
Yeah, you smell like fucking amazing.
That's what BDA just did, bro. He just spilled the Maruchan all over himself, bro.
Yeah, man, I should stop doing that. I should really just. I should have ended this 20 minutes ago, but hey, it is what it is, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody that called in, everybody that donated the super chat. And by the way, recognize you didn't have to donate with the super chat. Your presence here is a donation enough. Let me just say that right off the bat.
I don't need you to tell me that. I know that. I know.
Hey, that's you're stealing my shtick. Where I give somebody a compliment. Somebody gives me a compliment and then I snap at them. But shout out to Warp Speed as well. Earl Stevens, Patokua, Knockout Ned, Julio, Jump Tube, the Gucci Berserk, Monkey Kung Fu. Haven't seen him in a while. Shout out to him. RC3 NYC, some rando. Baby Camacho, and if I forgot any